I want to start today with moving in to a new state of being right away. So here's how it's going to go. I'm going to ask you to think about those elevated emotions that are the emotions that are connected to your future. Are you listening to me? Yes. Those emotions that you wrote down yesterday. Yes? Yes. But instead of us bringing up the symbol representing our clear intent and then creating the emotion, this time we're going to cultivate the emotion first. And I'm going to ask you to rest your attention in the space in the center of your chest in space. You should be able to do that pretty well. That's your target. And then I'm going to ask you to allow your breath to flow in and out of that creative center. Slower, deeper, and more relaxed, that it's safe to breathe. And just be present with your breath a little bit. And then I'm going to ask you to call up those emotions from your future. And I want you to take a chance and feel. And just allow yourself to raise your energy. And I'm going to ask you to sustain it for a period of time. And you will be dropping a pebble in water, and another pebble, and another pebble. And the longer you can hold those emotions, the more pebbles you drop, and you create those waves, that energy. Then I'm going to ask you to radiate that energy beyond your body in space. And all I want you to do is become aware of the space beyond your body in space. Pay attention to it and raise your energy. And then I'm going to say to you, that energy is frequency. And all frequency carries information. Lay that thought, that intent on that energy. And all I want you to do is remember that future, that symbol, or whatever connects you to the future, and sense that energy beyond your body, tuning in like a radio wave to your destiny. And the longer your consciousness lingers in that energy, the more you're calling a future to you, because you're creating from a level of energy instead of a level of matter. Are you with me still? And then I'm going to say to you, whatever you broadcast into the field is your experiment with destiny. And all I want you to do is open up, hold that symbol, and radiate that energy, tuning in to a future. And when there's a vibrational match between your energy and that future potential that already exists in the quantum field, you will draw the event to you. You are the vortex to your destiny. Fifth dimensional creation. Are you with me? Yes. So it's not going to take too long, but I want you to change your state of being, because those are the people I want to talk to. I want to talk to the people that are connected to a future. How does that sound? All right, here we go. Sit up straight. If you have a watch on, take it off. And relax. Relax. And become aware. Of the infinite black space. this infinite vast space. And become aware of the space in the center of your chest. This eternal void and allow your breath to flow in and flow out through this sacred center. Deeper, slower, and relaxed. And now feel those emotions of your future. Now. Breathe.
the infinite, vast, this energy this frequency carry the thought, the intent of a future, your symbol, and become aware of the energy of space around your body, and this eternal vast space. And tune in to your future. And the longer your consciousness lingers in this energy, the more you draw your future to you. For whatever you broadcast into the field is your experiment with destiny. And slowly bring your awareness back to a new body, to a new environment, into a whole new time. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the world of the senses in this space and time.
Could you change your energy like that if you practice it enough times in traffic? You do it in traffic? Yes. Instead of getting frustrated and angry and impatient, can you just tune into a future instead? If you're online at the bank, instead of could you just sit there and just change your energy? And if you practice doing that every day, would it get easier for you to do if you kept doing it? So then, is it possible then, when you change your energy, you diminish the emotions that you live by every single day and change your chemistry to a different set of emotions? Is that possible?
Yes.
And if our students can raise their IgA levels from 54 all the way to 87 in 4 days, the worst thing that could happen to you is that you get healthy. IgA is the primary defense against bacteria and viruses. It's better than any flu shot. It's better than any flu shot. It's better than any flu shot. I'm just reconditioning you. You got to hear it over and over again. The power's always been within you. And so you could do that anywhere. And who knows? If you do it enough times, it'll just become your normal state of being. And then you'll be more committed to being happy than committed to being unhappy. Is that true or not? Because you can come up with 1,000 reasons in your life to be unhappy, because that's where you place your attention. Are you with me still? But you ever hang out with those sweet little ladies that are in their 80s that are giggling? And I say, how do you do it? And they say, well, I just decided to be happy no matter what goes on in my life, and life's been good to me. Like, is that wisdom or what? I want to have what she's having. You know, and people always put me on television shows and they say, what is the secret to happiness? You know, is it some diet, or, you have to eat certain things? What is it that gets us happy? And of course, the camera's coming towards me, the red light is flashing, and we're under 30 seconds, and they're asking me this question. I just say, stop being unhappy. Stop thinking the thoughts that make you feel bad. Stop doing the things that cause you to love yourself less. Stop tormenting your body with suffering and complaining and blaming. Your cells are getting those chemical messages. Give your body a break. See what happens. It'll start getting joyful on its own because it's no longer being tormented. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, many of you are going to leave this event this evening, and some of you are going to return back to your normal lives, and you're going to have to make a choice to apply these things to go from philosopher to initiate, and continuously doing it until you begin to master it. Some of you will react to someone or something in your life. You won't take the time to retreat from your life every single day to get your mind and body working together. Invest your energy in the future, and you'll get up and you'll start those routine, predictable behaviors, thinking the same way, acting the same way, and feeling the same way. And yet nothing's changing in your life, but you're secretly hoping that it does. So then, those of you who stop doing the work are just more committed to the emotions of the past than those emotions of your future. Yes or no? And when you stop doing the work and you stop believing that your thoughts create your reality, you stop doing it because of some emotion that you're addicted to. Are you with me still? And you'll find someone in your life with the same emotion, and you'll get a lot of agreement, and life will be bad for the two of you. Are you with me still? Yes. And yeah, there are going to be challenges in your life, because if you want freedom, as an example, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with freedom. And then you're going to have to upscale your understanding of what that future looks like by being challenged with your present beliefs, and the initiation, meeting those challenges from a greater level of mind, is what causes you to embody the truth of what you're learning philosophically. Are you with me still? So then, wouldn't it be a good idea then to retreat from your life a little bit every day before you start getting into that cell phone and going through your routine? I think it may be a good idea to sit up and ask yourself, who do I want to present to the world today? Who do I want to be when I open my eyes? What are my blind spots? What are my weak points? When do I go unconscious? What emotions do I need to be aware of? Just a little inventory. Yeah, and I'm sure you know that coworker that pushes all your buttons. I'm sure you can find 1,000 reasons to judge her or him. But I'm telling you, when you change your energy and your heart is open, how can you judge them? You just see a part of yourself that you used to be that you no longer are. Because the only reason they push your buttons is there's some aspect of you that you see in them. Am I getting too close? So then, yeah, you can come up with 1,000 reasons to judge, to be unhappy. I can too. But when you decide to go against those chemicals, now you're in the river. Now you're doing the work. And I tell people, I don't care if you stop doing the work. What I care about is when you start again. And some people say to me, Dr. Joe, I just have to tell you, I didn't do my meditation this morning. like I'm some person they need to confess to. And I say to them, eyes open or eyes closed? Who you being right now? Where's your energy? Check in. Are you connected to a future or connected to a past? It can change your energy in a matter of moments. And if you keep practicing changing your state of being every single day, and you fall from grace because of someone or something, and you fall back into that old habit, that old program, that old emotional reaction, you should be able to excuse yourself for a minute, take a few breaths, raise your energy, and present yourself back to the world again. To me, the God within us loves us for that. It's like watching your kid make a mistake and all of a sudden back up and say, I got this. I got it. And who do you want to be in your life, or what type of people do you want to be with when there's chaos or breakdown going on? Don't you want to be around the person who says, I got this? Because they're just ready for the initiation. You want that in your life. You got to be that in your life. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, many people, they get all fired up about this work, and then, they can't carve out a little time in their day just to sit down. And I can tell you that it's worth it. And I raised my kids, and when I raised those kids, and I know what it is, and they're young, and you got to take care of them. They have chemical needs and all that stuff. But when I sat down, I sat right in the center of the living room, wrapped myself in a blanket, put blindfolds on, and I sat there, and they played right around me. That was just what we did. They never bothered me. They just knew that was my time. And if they wanted to be around me, they could be around me. But I was not, unless there was some type of casualty, I was just there. And they just understood that's what I did. And when I came out of it, I was so happy. And they wanted me to do it, of course. And they'd be handing me my blindfolds like, get down there. Take care of some business now, Dad. And so it just becomes an understanding. And my kids that's just part of their neural architecture. They do it themselves now. And they have relationships, and they separate themselves from the relationships, and they love themselves enough to do that. And you should love yourself enough to do that. Because when you do, you're taking your power back and really being responsible. And the question that I've been asking myself for the last 5 months is, Joe Dispenza, at what point do you stop believing that your thoughts create your reality? What is that point? Because there is a point. And that point is the point where you decide to be a creator or a victim. That's it. So can you extend that a little further? Because you can say you believe in your wealth, but at the same time you don't believe that you created that circumstance in your life. You can't say that. That's a mixed message. You're all in or not. Are you with me still? So then people say to me, well, I didn't create that car accident. And I say to them, yeah, you did. You created by default. You created by not creating. You were left to the randomness, the entropy of reality, and you bumped into matter. It's just a matter of time. So then, many people, they return back to their life, and the person or the circumstances in their life don't allow them to do it, and they compromise for other people. And every time you compromise, you give up a piece of yourself. You keep doing that, and you no longer remember who you are. You understand what I'm talking about, yes? And you give away a little of your energy as well. And all of a sudden now, you're out of effect of other people, and you're living your life to keep them happy. And that may work for a while, but it's not going to work long term. Are you with me still? Yes. So then you compromise and you stop doing the work, and you start getting beat up by your external world. Now you're anticipating the person doing exactly what you want them to do, so you can feel that emotion of judgment and anger. And now you're hooked in. You are in your reality, and it is real to you. And the only thing that matters is talking about the self, to reaffirm those emotions, to get approval, to get validation that you should feel this way. Yeah, and that's human nature, and that's normal, and that's natural. But if you're going to become supernatural, you better start giving when everybody else is taking. You better start loving when everybody else is judging. You better be able to stop the reflex, the knee-jerk of your automatic responses, and make a different choice, just a different one, just to put you in the unknown. And if you're sitting in your meditation and your body is raging and you're settling it back down into the present moment, you are taming that emotion. You are telling your body that it's not going to the past and that you're the mind. And sooner or later, the animal is going to surrender. It's going to get retrained. And then you will knee-jerk less in your life because you overcame yourself. Are you with me still? You will see the part of you used to be and the person you don't like that you no longer are, and you'll only have compassion for them. Are you with me still? The person that betrayed you, that talked about you, that bore false witness about you. You're so happy, you feel so amazing, that you just see that that person is just struggling and suffering. You just get it. You're no longer connected to that past-present reality. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, stop doing the work, and you get beat up by the conditions in your external environment, and you're living by the hormones of stress. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to start anticipating the future based on the past. And out of the infinite potentials in the quantum field, when you're more emotionally out of balance, you're going to select the worst one. And then you're going to make it even more worse. And then you're going to create even more worse things happening. And you are creating a future. Are you with me still? And then as you hold that future to the exclusion of everything else, the thought becomes the experience in your mind. It is so real that your body, as the unconscious mind, begins to believe it's living in that future, and you start feeling the emotions of fear, of worry, of vigilance, of anxiety. And your body's being conditioned to the mind of that future emotionally, of fear, of anxiety, of worry. The body is already in the event. And if how you think and how you feel creates your state of being, your state of being is equal to that very execution of thoughts and feelings. Are you with me still? And then, of course, you start getting impatient and you start getting frustrated, and now you're reacting to everyone and everything in your life. You're wanting them to do that, to prove to yourself you have a reason to feel that way. Are you with me still? And then, of course, you just can't sleep. And then you're drinking more coffee in the morning because you can't sleep, and now the coffee's keeping you up at night, and you're missing meals, and now your blood sugar's out of balance, and you're having problems with your kids and work, and all of a sudden now, you're mismanaging your energy, and you're thinking about every person, everything, every circumstance. Your brain is in high beta. Your heart is beating arrhythmically. And you're not feeling very well, but you're pushing through it, because that's what we do. Are you with me still? Yes. And all of a sudden, there you are. You're in the grocery store, and you're just walking with your carriage, and you're rushing to get from one aisle to the next because there's never enough time. And all of a sudden, your heart starts to race. Your breathing starts to get out of control. You start experiencing visual narrowing. You see all these white flashes around you. What are you having? Panic attack, yes or no? So then, the moment you feel a change in your internal chemistry, like something is wrong inside here, you look to see what's causing it outside of you. Oh, it's open spaces. It's shopping malls, it's a supermarket, it's an airplane. Something outside of you in that immediate moment you think is causing you to feel this way. You forgot what you've been doing for the last 5 months, conditioning your body to become the mind of fear. And you conditioned it so well. And remember, stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of homeostasis. And there's physical stress, trauma, accidents, falls, injuries. There's chemical stress, blood sugar levels, overcaffeinated, flus, viruses, hangovers. And then there's emotional stress. All those emotions that go along with it. So physically, chemically, and emotionally, your body's out of balance, and you've conditioned it to become the mind of fear. You programmed it. And try as you may to control that panic attack, you can't, because you programmed it subconsciously. You with me still? Body's going to have a panic attack without you. And it's not going to let you know when it's going to happen. And of course, you can't predict the future. And if you can't predict the future, now you start worrying about the next panic attack. And now you don't want to go out of the house. And all of a sudden, your reality gets smaller and smaller. Are you with me still? Yes. I'm telling you a story of people that I've talked to. These are professionals. These are professionals that got to the point where they wouldn't drive over a bridge. Their anxiety was that high. Professionals, doctors, attorneys. They limited their experience of the world because they were afraid how their future was going to unfold again. And the more afraid they got, the more they were programming that. You with me still? And so you can't predict the panic attack, and that's one of the things that creates the most amount of stress, is not being able to predict. And now all of a sudden you're becoming more anxious and more afraid. So then you go to the doctor. The doctor says it's a chemical imbalance in your brain. It's molecules, it's chemicals, it's circuits. Take this pill, and it's going to help you. Now here's my first question. Now that you have the insight that it's a chemical imbalance in your brain, you now know what it is. Does it heal your anxiety? If you take that pill, does it heal your anxiety? No, it may mitigate it. It may reduce some of the symptoms, but you'll still avoid open spaces. You'll still avoid supermarkets. You'll still avoid shopping malls, airplanes. Well, you haven't healed at all, because the environment now you believe is controlling how you think and feel, because that's how you've been programmed. Are you with me still? Am I getting too close? Come on. Yes? I want to. I woke up this morning and I said I'm going to speak straight to you today. So then, you go on a walk with your girlfriend, and she's, studied psychology in college, and she says, it's not a hardware problem. It's actually a software problem. It's behavioral. Your father was overbearing. He was a perfectionist. And of course, now you're programmed to be a perfectionist. And when you can't control everything in your world, you get really stressed out. You go, that could be true. Now here's the question. Now that you have the insight that it was your father that did this to you, does it heal your anxiety? So then you go to the psychic. And the psychic says, you were Genghis Khan's mistress. And he left, and he never came back. And the memory is burned in your soul. And then, in the very next lifetime, you were Cleopatra's sister. And there was a very strong competition between the two of you, and she was abusive to you. Now that you know that you had those two past lives, does it heal your anxiety? No. In fact, you will walk around and say, I was Genghis Khan's mistress, and that's why I have anxiety. Reaffirming that state of being. So then, you go to the astrologer, and the astrologer says, Mercury is where? Don't leave the house for 6 months. Now, listen to this. People will give their power away to a planet and excuse their own mismanagement of energy, their own habits, unconscious behaviors, and emotional addictions, and give it away to some planet. And they'll say, well, it's Mercury. When I'm at a dinner and someone says that, I go, oh, I gotta go. You know better now, don't you? Yes. Now, you go to the numerologist. She says, when were you born? 10:05 in the morning. Where were you born? I was born in Sarasota, Florida. Oh, okay. And all of a sudden, she starts cranking out the numbers. She stops. She says, were you a cesarean? Yes, I was. Well, you were born 15 minutes too early. You were born in the wrong house. It's your mother's fault. She should have waited. And now that you realize that you're born in the wrong astrological house, and that's why you're having all this anxiety, does it heal your anxiety? So then sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with yourself. Yes or no? Yes. So then, if it is an effect of your own thinking, if it is an effect of your own unconscious habits and behaviors, and if it's an effect of your own emotional reactions to thoughts in your brain or to people in your life, would you agree then you might want to sit your body down and pay attention to those thoughts and become so conscious of those thoughts you would never let them slip by your awareness unchecked and go unconscious? Are you with me still? Would you agree then, the more you observe how you act, what you do, what you say when you are out of balance and stressed out, would you agree then, the more you observe that, the more you will be able to change it? Yes or no? And if you can observe those emotions that come from that emotion, and you see how one leads to the other, and you decide that you can control those emotions and return back to a different state of being, back into the present moment, would you agree then that if you can do that, you can decide if you want to experience those emotions because you're more aware of them? And the research shows that people now can anticipate when the emotion's going to come, and they can head it off before it happens. That's when you get really good, when you're in the present moment. Are you with me still? Yeah, and you'll sit down, and your body is going to buck and kick like an unbridled stallion. But you trained it that way. Nobody else did. You trained it that way. And you can tell me it's your ex-husband's fault, or it's your coworker's fault, or it's your mother's fault. I'll say, okay, let's take your coworker, let's put him in a straitjacket, and let's shoot him to the moon. Let's take your ex-husband, and let's send him to Siberia. But, you know, you still got to deal with yourself, yeah? You still have those circuits embossed in your brain. You still have those emotions stored in your body, and you still are going to have to do the work to get beyond your past. Are you with me still? So you're sitting there in the present moment, and your body doesn't want to sit still. Your body wants to get up and do things, so it doesn't have to pay attention to that emotion. It can distract you from those emotions. And you're sitting there and you're saying, we're not getting up until we find the present moment. And yeah, there is a battle between David and Goliath. Yeah, because the ego is that big. But if you keep working it, and you keep returning back to the present moment, I've interviewed enough people to tell you that that person, when they finally surrender into that present moment, they can't be anxious. There is no future, that same future any longer. And the body finally starts to trust the person, finally starts to trust them. And when they're sick, and they sit their body down, their body responds to their mind because they trained it that way. Are you with me still? And so, yeah, it will take some effort on your part to find the present moment in your life. But I'm telling you, our students do the work, not because they have to, but because they see the benefits in their lives. They know when they're there and when they're not. And they don't lie to themselves and say, oh, I'm going to be positive today, but really they're feeling pretty negative. They're not doing that. They're changing their entire state of being, and they're managing their energy and aware of where they're placing their attention, and they're watching what's going on in their inner world, and they're changing that moment by moment as well. And yeah, in the beginning, it's a pretty crazy garden. There's a lot of weeds. There's a lot of overgrowth. There's a lot of plants from the past. There's a lot of rocks that sifted to the top that are emotional blocks. Yeah, the soil is pretty rigid and dried out, hardwired. But you got to start somewhere. You start getting those weeds out, those old thoughts. You start pruning away some of those branches. You start pulling out those plants from the past, the dead ones too, that no longer serve us. Remove those emotional blocks. Make room for something to grow. Tender the soil with love and attention, and plant a new garden. Yeah, it'll take a little work, but then all of a sudden, when you start to see some growth, and you start to see it bear some fruit, and you start to see how it changes, it's always worth it. And so we have to tend to our own gardens in our mind. Would you agree? So then, if we stop doing the work because of some emotional addiction, from some emotion that's causing us to view the future through the lens of the past, that future no longer exists. We stop doing the work because of some emotion. We stop believing that our thoughts create our reality because we're in survival instead of creation. Are you with me still? Yes. And you're more addicted, more committed to that emotion of your past than you are committed to an emotion of the future. And you just can't feel the emotion of the future, then you know why your dreams are not occurring in your life. Are you with me still? Yes. Come on, that bounced off some of you. Yes. Because your energy and your attention is on those emotions, and your energy and attention then is in the past. Are you with me still?
Yes.
Yeah, I know sometimes takes a little bit to feel gratitude. Yeah, I know. I'm challenged every day. But I'll tell you what, I like myself a whole lot more when I'm feeling gratitude than feeling other emotions. And so will everybody else. Are you listening to me?
Yes.
So then, if an addiction is something you cannot stop, and now your environment has got a hold of you, and it's causing you to react to someone or something, and you're giving your attention and your power to that person or that circumstance or that thing, you don't have any energy to create. Would you agree?
Agreed.
So then, if an addiction is something you can't stop, and you're living every single day by that emotion, it's no different than being addicted to anything in your life. Are you listening?
Yes.
Whether it's coffee, I don't know, I'm making this up, sugar, sweets, whatever, chocolate, whatever people get addicted to. I don't think any of those things are bad, but if you can't stop them, then they run you. Yes or no?
Yes.
So then if you're addicted to something in your life, and you say, okay, I'm stopping eating chocolate, I'm no longer having sugar, I'm not gonna, drink any coffee, and all of a sudden I show up with a hot cup of coffee and a big chocolate donut, and I sit down in front of you and I say, how's your day going? Now remember, you're addicted, and addiction is when your body becomes the mind. Would you agree that the moment your senses begin to interact with your environment, what you're smelling, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, would you agree then, the moment that occurs, your body starts sending signals to the brain? What is it saying? Start tomorrow. Tomorrow's a better day. He's eating, it can't be too bad. This doesn't feel right. Just take one bite, just one bite. You know that that's the body trying to cause you to return back to the familiar feelings, to the familiar state of being. Would you agree? Yes. So the war goes on, yes?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, the moment you smell it and you see it, the autonomic nervous system is already producing the very chemicals, and your body begins to believe it's in the experience. You start salivating, your stomach starts growling. You're already eating the chocolate. Your body's already in the event because you've conditioned it that way. And remember, conditioning is based on the past. So the moment you see that chocolate and that sugar and that coffee, the moment you begin to interact with it, the conditioning then says you've taken away some feelings in your internal state by relying on these things externally to make you feel differently. So you're feeling this way, you need these things. Are you with me still?
Yes.
And then when you eat those things, it takes the feeling away. You with me still? But when the feeling comes back, you got to do it again. And you got to do it again. All of a sudden, now you're hooked. Yes?
Yes.
So then, when you start seeing it by conditioning, you start smelling it, your body automatically, physiologically, chemically, is preparing you for the experience. It's anticipating the future based on the past. It's expecting it. Yes? But now remember, you declared, I'm not having any coffee, any sugar, any chocolate, right? But your body is already wanting it. So then the war takes place between the mind and the body, yes? Come on, are you with me? But let me ask you a question. If you broke free from any one of those addictions, just say you no longer, you really overcame your coffee thing, your chocolate thing, your sugar thing, would you agree that if you broke free from the addiction and the body's no longer the mind, I could show up with a cup of coffee and a chocolate donut? There's no tug. You could eat it or not eat it. You're just like, whatever, dude. I don't want any, but I'll have a bite, or it's not a big deal for you, yes? You're no longer controlled, yes or no? Okay. So then, if you're addicted to certain emotions in your life, and you're using the people and conditions and circumstances in your life to reaffirm your emotional addiction, the bad relationship with a coworker, the bad job, difficult living situation, whatever it is, memory of a past, the anticipation of some worst case scenario in your future. And you need those conditions in your life to feel those emotions. Would you agree then, if you're using your coworker to reaffirm your addiction to judgment, and you're using your boss to reaffirm your addiction to anger, and you're using your enemy to reaffirm your addiction to hatred, and using your friends to reaffirm your addiction to suffering, you're using your parents to reaffirm your addiction to guilt, you're using the news to reaffirm your addiction to prejudice, whatever it is. Would you agree then, if you haven't overcome and broke the addiction to that emotion, the moment you walk back into your environment and you see that person, you go to that place, you're near that thing, the moment you see it, you're going to get signals from your body to think certain ways. Go ahead, judge a little bit. It's okay. You're right and she's wrong. And all that's slipping right by your brainstem, signaling your autonomic nervous system. It's going by unchecked. And your body then automatically, autonomically, physiologically, and chemically returns right back to the past. And you go unconscious. Are you with me still? Just like the chocolate cake, your stomach starts to put juices out, your mouth starts to salivate. Well, the moment you see that person or that circumstance or that place that you use to reaffirm your addiction to that emotion, your body autonomically, automatically, physiologically, chemically is going to automatically feel like a victim, feel validated, feel righteous, that you have a reason. Are you with me still?
Yes.
Now, here's my question. You're sitting in your meditation in the morning, and your body is giving you trouble. I know this because I've sat with my body for hours. And why do I allow for 2 hours? Because sometimes it takes me a whole hour to get in the present moment, and I am not going to get up until that body of mine surrenders. And I don't care if it takes the whole 2 hours, because I know that it's always worth it. And every time I've gotten to that point where I said, I just can't go any further, and I go a little further and my body surrenders, I always say the exact same thing. That was so worth it. It was so worth it. And all of a sudden, I get up and I'm a liberated energy. I feel amazing. I feel free. I feel clear. I'm no longer tormented by the past and the future. I'm relaxed and feel pretty calm in the present moment. I'm poised. I'm spontaneous. I'm free. And I can tell you, I've had some crazy, crazy things happen to me that many of you wouldn't believe. And I always look to see how I'm being when it happens. You ready? I'm totally goofy. I'm kind of silly and I'm not really thinking. I'm just celebrating the moment and I'm just not analyzing. That's when it happens. So that's, if you're creating in that state of a love for life or feeling unlimited or abundant, and then you get up from your meditation and you're feeling pretty angry and judgmental, you're just keeping that future at arm's length away from you. Are you with me still? Because the emotion is what draws it to you. Are you with me still? So that's like eating an organic, wonderful, vegetarian, perfect breakfast and then spending the rest of the day eating junk food. By the way, those people who eat wonderful food, I love that. But I want you to know that a lot of people who eat the most perfect meal, and they're all rigid and contracted and perfectionistic and self-judgmental, do you know they're turning all of that wonderful protein into judgmental, righteous, self-rigid protein in their body? The gene is just doing that. It's making organic fear, just proteins. Now, I eat well, but I'm just saying that, sometimes it's more than just diet. Yes or no?
Yes.
So, if you understand then that when your body is raging and it's throwing everything at you, and you say to it, that's it, that's all you got, I'm going to stay here. And I'm going to keep working this back into the present moment. And I know if I get frustrated, my brain waves are going to change. I know if I get frustrated, I'm going to be in my past. I know if I get frustrated, my body's going to become the mind again, and I'm feeding it the very chemicals it wants to feel. It's a spoiled little brat. We're not doing that today. And you keep loving it back into the present moment, unfolding back into possibility, you will have the experience of that liberation of energy. And you will have overcome yourself, sitting there, breaking the emotional bond with your coworker, with your enemy, with your boss that you've used all along, and now that energy is coming back to you, and you have available energy to all of a sudden create a new future. Are you with me still? And I swear to you, you are breaking out of your past when this happens. You are breaking those energetic bonds, and you will stand in the presence of your greatest adversary, the person who threw you under the bus, the person that betrayed you, and you will have nothing but love for them. You are no longer your body as the mind emotionally. You are free, and when you're free, you belong to a future instead of belonging to a past. How many people are with me? So there will always be a reason to not do the work. Did you hear me? There will always be a reason to not do the work. And I'm telling you, my heroes, I watched a young man in an event in Zurich with a very serious genetic lung condition. I watched him overcome himself in a long meditation. I saw blood coming out of his mouth. I saw what he was doing. And I was so moved in watching him. It wasn't in his nature to give up. It wasn't in his nature to complain and feel sorry for himself. He would never do that to his body when he was healing it. I watched him that he couldn't lay down, because in our advanced work we lay down to allow the autonomic nervous system to take over. I watched him. I knew he couldn't lay down. It was a long meditation, that advanced follow-up. But I knew he was on it. I knew he was working with his body. I saw what he was doing. I've seen his brain scans too. I knew what he was doing. A genetic condition. But the next time, that next week, he went to his doctor, and he had a 22% increase in lung volume, and he was picking his girlfriend up and running up and down the stairs with her. You got to tell me he's loving himself and loving his life a little bit more. Would you agree with me? And you know what? He's doing it just to see if he can. And yeah, he could have 100 reasons why he's not going to do his meditation, because he just didn't feel like it. Well, he's never going to let feelings be the barometer for change in his life, because he knows it'll always talk himself out of it. He's greater than his feelings. And so if that can happen to him, imagine what could happen to you if you just take a little time out of your life and apply some of these principles. And who gets to be the beneficiary of that? Would you agree you do? Yes. Then your family? Yes. And then what? The people you work with, and finally the community that you live in. And you know what I tell our advanced students? I tell them this right to their face. You know when you're changing, you stop talking about it. Period. You're too busy being it. You're not saying, oh, I'm going to do this. You're already doing it. You're in the river, man. You're awake and alive. And yeah, there's a little danger in there, and it's a little scary, but at least you're alive. At least you said, I'm more committed to the unknown than I am to guilt. I'm more committed to possibility than I am to fear. I'm more willing to step outside of what I know and live in possibility than live in my own suffering. That's a great person to me. That's a great person. But it's not like you're out there and you don't have coordinates of where you can go. Now that you're in the unknown, you get to choose from the unknown what you would like to create. Are you with me still? Yes. And so then, making that journey and crossing that river, yeah, it takes a little bit of effort. But everybody benefits in your life when you do. And when you stop talking about it and you are it, people are going to become very suspicious of you. They're going to want what you have. And it's not because you're saying anything, you're just not being tugged in the same way. You don't have the same facial reactions to people. You've overcome that. There's no longer an unconscious reflex. Your body language is changing. You're standing differently. Your energy's in a different place. You're thinking clearly. You're talking about different things. You're smiling more. You're present with the person. You're listening instead of interrupting. And all of a sudden, people notice that. And then you give them permission to do the same. And they all of a sudden want to be around you because you're the only one that understands them, but you're not really saying anything. You're just observing. And when they ask you for advice, the wisdom that comes out of your mouth is not based on philosophy. Like you really need to forgive. You don't do that. You just say, well, what do you want? You ask them the poignant question, who do you want to be? You ask them the question that you asked yourself to get you where you are. And that's the poignant question that they need to ask themselves, but you're doing it from experience instead of some psychological philosophy. You're with them because you understand them because you were once them. Are you with me still?
Yes.
And if you're interacting with that unified field, you're taking time to say, I got to connect with it because I know that when I drink from a deeper well, I have energy from nowhere. I don't even know where this energy comes from. And you're interacting with that unified field, and its signature is oneness. Its electronic magnetic signature is wholeness. It's not separation, it's not duality, that's not polarity. It's wholeness. And you begin to interact with it, and you experience less separation and more wholeness, more oneness and less duality. And your brain and your biology and your heart and everything all of a sudden is getting retrained. And you're doing that on a daily basis. You would have to agree with me then. You would be less interested in rushing around in your day. Yes or no?
Yes.
You would not want to judge somebody because the moment you judge somebody, you would go, what happened to the feeling? You wouldn't want to analyze everything in your life because the moment you're feeling great and you analyze, you lose that feeling. Are you with me still?
Yes.
You are becoming a scientist, watching your inner world and seeing how it's affecting your outer world instead of reacting to your outer world and believing it's controlling your inner world. And yeah, many people will tell you you're crazy, but every great person in history was always considered crazy in the beginning, weren't they? Outside of convention, whether it's social convention, scientific convention, religious convention, cultural convention, outside of some belief. And everybody was thinking this person is crazy. Until they pulled it off. And then they were a saint. Then they were a charismatic leader. They were a genius. I mean, dare to be original in your life. And if you are interacting with that unified field on a daily basis, and you feel more whole, you're going to see the hidden meaning behind all things. And you're going to be less seduced by all that stuff in the outer world that causes you to believe you're separate from someone or something because of a culture or skin color or a sexual preference or a diet or whatever. And you would be less interested in that because you're connecting to everyone and everything and everywhere and every place and every time. And you understand that we're just wearing masks. We're just wearing. We're dressing up for the show. And we get to live it out. And when you're tired of playing one game, you decide to play another one. And it's all okay. And there's no right and wrong. There's just evolution. And when you keep interacting with the unified field, you're going to outgrow things. You're going to outgrow your pain. You're just going to outgrow it. You're going to outgrow complaining. You're just going to outgrow it. You're going to outgrow your pills, possibly. You're just going to outgrow it. You're just going to outgrow them. And that's because you're moving closer to the unified field. And you're experiencing less separation from your dreams. And when you feel connected to them, you'll never try to force them or control them or predict them. You're just going to let them come to you. And when that becomes the constant in your life, then there really is nowhere to go. Because where you are is where it's happening. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, final question before I finish my Sunday sermon. Is it worth it? Yes. Is it worth it to do the work? You cannot tell me now you're too old. You cannot tell me that. You can't. I've seen people. We have people in their 80s that are advanced students. They're dancing around the front of the room, and they're more life than people in their 20s that are hypnotized, living in trance out there. All hooked into technology. You can't tell me you're out of shape and you can't do the work. I've seen people just show up and just connect to that intelligence, and it rocked their world. You can't tell me that the quantum field, quantum principles don't work for you because of the past. You can't tell me that any longer. I've seen people overcome insurmountable pasts that would probably, most of you would never even want to think about. Living on the street, homeless, have a whole different life right now because they did the work. You started from somewhere, and you got to start from somewhere. Would you agree? Yes. Now, I'm done with my Sunday sermon. I want you to turn the person next to you and have an enlivening conversation before we begin. Thank you. Let me ask you a question. Reason this with me. I have had many meditations where it took me a lot of effort to get beyond myself because of all those futures and pasts and all the things I have to do and the people I have to see and the hard knocks of running this company and everything that goes along with it. I understand what it takes to find the present moment. And I can tell you there were some days that I didn't want to do it because I was jet-lagged, or I may have had 3 glasses of wine and stayed up talking about quantum superimposition to somebody. You know, there were times that it's such an unusual thing, because some of the times you connect and you think something amazing is going to happen. The moment you start thinking that way, you're in the way. You understand? And there are other times where I just had to work so hard and just didn't think I really connected the way I wanted to, and my day was just amazing. Crazy, wild, wonderful opportunities and synchronicities were happening all around me. But the divine in us doesn't say, hey, I'm a white guy with a beard and I'm sitting up there with my laptop and I'm checking to see what you're doing right and wrong, and man, if you do a few too many things wrong and this Excel spreadsheet goes this way, I'm going to put you in the can in a very, very hot place for the rest of eternity because you made a few mistakes. You think you're a parent. How many people here are parents? Would you do that to your kids, lock them in the closet for the rest of their life because they made a few mistakes? Or are you going to forgive them and give another chance? So if you're doing that, and this God that we are programmed to believe in is that vindictive and insecure, oh my God. Are you with me? But the divine in us is just proud of us that we're actually emulating it. Like, oh my God, my daughter, my son is going to emulate me to be an observer of their future. And they're going to look within instead of outside. And if you want to hide God really well in the human being, hide it within them. They'll look everywhere else for it. And finally, you're coming home for dinner. And if your kid hasn't come home for a year and they probably didn't call you as much as they should have, but they're coming home, aren't you just going to be like, come on in, tell me everything you learned? You're going to open your doors. That's what love does. And this is a loving intelligence, an intelligent love. And your will has to match its will. Your mind has to match its mind. Your love for life has to match its love for life. And when you do, it always answers the call. Are you with me still? So then, I can't tell you how many meditations where I had difficulty overcoming myself, but the next day, I connected even greater. So it's always worth the effort. You are ascending a great mountain, and you are going to have to continue to climb. Do you understand? But it's always worth the effort. You tell me, there are interdimensional beings that come to our advanced workshops, and they have talked to me, and they have healed people in our audience, and they look nothing like you and me. You listening? And they are some big dudes and dudettes, and they're beautiful. And they have taken tumors out of people's brains. They've done all kinds of things. And they have talked to me. And they have told me we can only lower our energy to a certain point. If we lower it too far, we change our consciousness. And we would never do that. But if you raise the energy of the room, sir, to this point, we'll meet you right in there. Are you with me? Now, I'm not a wu-wei whales in space guy. I don't do that stuff. I don't spend my time on any of that. But I'm telling you, they come. Now, let me ask you a question. You reason this with me. If you can't get beyond someone's skin color, you're going to judge another person because the way they look, do you think those beings are going to appear to you? Come on, reason this with me. Because you may say, my God, you are strange looking. Or you're ugly, and they're going to say, you look pretty ugly to me. Do you understand? How can you interact with diversity if you're not free beyond all of that? Because it's the law. Do you understand? So then, as you keep surrendering an aspect of your limited self to join the greater self, you're making room for wholeness and oneness. And you will be connected to everybody, everyone, everything, everywhere, and every time. Because that is the quantum field. It is an invisible field of information that connects everything material. And it exists beyond this space and time. And you have all the neurological and biological machinery to connect to it. And the people who labor to overcome themselves consistently, every single day, overcoming, you're going to learn if you come to the advanced workshop. It's not about getting wealth. It's about becoming wealth. It's not about getting healthy. It's about becoming healthy. You understand what I'm talking about? It's about becoming it. Because if you become it and you lose everything, you're the source that created it. There is no loss. You're not holding on to things because you're experiencing separation. You're giving because you understand when you do, you're emulating the divine. And if you want to emulate the observer and the divine, and it comes time to create, the hair on the back of your neck better stand up. Because you think that the observer that's observing all of this into life is creating like not from a place of empowerment and loving its creation. So you better emulate it. And if you are going to do something unlimited, you better feel unlimited. And if you're going to emulate the divine, you better become divine. And if you're going to do the magnificent, you better feel magnificent. And when you do, you raise the energy of your body and you produce a field. And now you're more connected to that unified field, because that's how the observer creates. And I was just writing about this in my book. Scientists say to me, yeah, well, we believe that there is, something, a unified field that's keeping it all together. We don't really think it's an intelligence, and really? I say to them, so if there's an explosion, there's a big explosion, is there order or disorder? Disorder. I said, okay, so what happened after the Big Bang? How come there's so much order here? You don't think there's some intelligence loving this into order, observing it into some order? And when you get present and you begin to observe a future and you're completely in the present moment, it's observing you, observing it, and it is endorsing your observation. Are you with me still? But if you're all over the place with thinking about people and things and places, and then all of a sudden you pause for a second and you go, oh, God, anywhere you go again, you know, oh, God. It's going, what do you want? What do you want? What was that thing? You want to murder your who? What was that? You want to murder who? You want to murder who? But if you're completely present, you're in front of the mirror. And it's going to mirror that back into your life. And the closer you move towards it, the faster in time it appears in your life because there's less separation between you and your future. Are you with me still? Which means the higher the frequency, the higher the energy, as you'll learn in your advanced workshop, the shorter amount of time it should take to appear in your life. Which means if you want to create something out of nothing, you got to get to nothing. If you want to create something out of nowhere, you got to get to nowhere. If it's going to appear out of nowhere. If you want it to happen in no time, you better get to no time. Because that's where everything material comes from. Are you with me still? Yes. So have I inspired you a little bit? Yes. All right, I did my job. The key to meditation is learning how to stay. Yes or no? Yes. Oh my God. So now, there's mind and there's body. And because of Descartes, who was very interested in getting the cadavers from the church so that he could do his own experiments and dissections, he said, okay, how can we do this so that I continue doing my work and not really offend the church? Well, let's separate mind and body. Mind is way too convoluted. It's too unpredictable. It's too complicated. I'm going to give that to the sphere of religion. I'm going to give the mind to religion, and we'll take the body, and that will go to the sphere of science. And so we created this dualism. But I have to tell you that there's never a time where your body isn't influencing your mind, and there's never a time where your mind isn't influencing your body. You have a mind in your body, and you have a body mapped in your brain and mind. Are you with me still? So they coexist. Would you agree? They're not separate. So you know that you think certain thoughts that produce certain feelings. Those feelings drive certain thoughts, and you create a state of being. So you have a thought, and the moment you have a thought, there's a biochemical reaction in your brain, yes? Then the brain releases certain chemical signals that are transmitted to the body. The thoughts that are produced from those chemicals allow your body to begin to feel exactly the way you were just thinking. Are you with me still? According to your thoughts. So we could say then, your thought literally becomes matter. It becomes chemicals. Yes? Now, the moment you begin to feel the way you think, something amazing happens. Those chemical signals that are running through your body are being monitored by your brain. The brain's checking in with the body because it's not separate. And the moment the brain starts to notice the body's feeling certain ways, it generates more corresponding thoughts equal to how it's feeling. So thinking creates feeling, and feeling creates thinking. Yes or no? Yes. So then, the more you think the same thoughts, reason this with me, the more you produce the same chemicals. Yes or no? Yes. The more you produce the same chemicals, the more you feel the same way. Yes? And if feelings and emotions are the end product of experiences in your environment, and it's the environment that signals the gene, as long as you're feeling the same way every single day, there's no new information from your environment, and you're going to keep signaling the same gene. Are you with me still? So then, If you take a series of thoughts that are connected to a series of feelings and you cluster them together, you're going to create what's called an attitude. Are you with me still? You have a series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings. You say to your buddy, hey, I have a pretty good attitude today. I want to hang out. But if you have a series of negative thoughts that are connected to some pretty bad feelings, you say, I have a pretty bad attitude today. Yes? So if how you think and how you feel creates your state of being, then attitudes are just shortened states of being. You have a good attitude in the morning on Monday and a bad attitude in the morning on Tuesday. Yes or no? So then you think a thought like, my boss is unfair. You turn on a set of circuits in your brain. I'm underpaid. You get another set of circuits firing. I'm not appreciated. And all of a sudden, all the chorus jumps in. I'm overlooked. And of course, nobody listens to me. You get enough networks of neurons firing in your brain, you're going to produce a level of mind. Mind is the brain in action. The moment they fire in tandem, you get an internal representation, an image of yourself that you think you are. If you accept, believe, and surrender to that image, that thought of yourself, neurotransmitters in your brain begin to influence neuropeptides made in the chemical brain or the emotional brain, and now you're sending a neurochemical signal down to a hormonal center. And which hormonal center do you activate? The third center of the adrenal glands. The moment you start producing adrenaline, you begin to feel pretty angry, pretty aggressive, pretty judgmental. You with me still? Now you're broadcasting energy into the field through the center, and you're saying, send me another reason to be angry, but bring it in a way that I least expect, that surprises me. Now the brain's monitoring that you're feeling angry, so it's going to generate more consistent thoughts equal to how you feel. Are you with me still? Firing and wiring the same thoughts in the same way, hardwiring your brain into the habit of being angry. Are you with me still? You get enough networks of neurons firing in a sequence, pattern, and combination. Here we go again. You're going to reaffirm the ideal of yourself, the image of yourself. And if the thought that you're thinking, you're holding that image to the exclusion of everything else, the thought that you're thinking, the vision, becomes the experience. And the end product of the experience is called an emotion. And neuropeptides then will be whipped up in the hypothalamus, and it'll send a very specific chemical signal right down to the adrenal glands. And now you're taking thought and you're storing all of that energy as an emotion in that third center. Are you with me still? And the body is becoming the mind of anger. Are you with me still? Broadcasting that signature into the field, you're letting that aggressive energy go, broadcasting it, but now your brain is monitoring your body, and it's going to generate more consistent thoughts equal to how you're feeling. Are you with me still? And you know, if you accept, believe, and surrender to these thoughts without any analysis, you are going to consistently reaffirm your identity. Are you with me still? So now, here we go. The thought, the image of yourself, is who you think you are, and you accept, believe, and surrender to that thought. And without analyzing it, it makes it right to the autonomic nervous system, and you're programming your autonomic nervous system into a destiny. Are you with me still? And that energy now is being stored in your third center. The thought is being stored as an emotion, as energy in your third center. And the body's becoming the mind of aggression, anger. Are you with me still? So people can do this for 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 years. Are you with me still? And the body now is running the show. But you can think different thoughts and turn on a different set of networks in your brain to produce a different level of mind. If you get enough networks of neurons firing in a sequence, pattern, or combination, you are going to create an internal representation of yourself, a hologram in your frontal lobe of who you think you are. And the moment that image of yourself is accepted, believed, and surrendered to without any analysis, you're suggestible to that image. You're going to program your autonomic nervous system to make a different batch of neuropeptides equal to those thoughts. Are you listening still? To that level of mind. And now, all of a sudden, it whips up a different batch of neuropeptides, and it has a different agenda. It's going to go to a different hormonal center. And where do people feel guilt? Right there in their gut. Are you with me still? So now the person's taking thought and storing it as energy emotionally in that second center. They're broadcasting a signature into the field, and all of a sudden the brain is monitoring how they're feeling, and the brain is going to think more corresponding thoughts exactly equal to how they feel. Are you with me still? This is the Italian grandmother syndrome right here. If you get enough networks of neurons firing in a sequence, pattern, in combination, you're going to reaffirm the image of yourself. You're going to actually believe this is you right here. Watch. Watch the face. That's you. So then now you actually live as that. You act as it, you think like it, you feel like it. It becomes your state of being. Are you with me still? And of course now the cycle can go on and on and on. And you are conditioning the body to become the mind of suffering, of guilt, of victimization. And all of that energy is being stored in the second center. Are you with me still?
Yes.
And people get caught in these loops to such an extent that the hardwired thoughts slip by their awareness on a daily basis. The emotions, of course, of feeling guilty or feeling bad is just who they think they are. They don't even know that they're feeling guilty. It just feels normal to them. Are you with me still? Firing and wiring those circuits, hardwiring in the brain, and then emotionally conditioning the body to the past, to the mind of guilt. Are you with me still? So all the energy, all that creative energy is stored in that second center. Does that make sense? Now, ladies, this is for the men, just to keep their attention. You could fire a different set of circuits in your brain to produce a different level of mind. If you get enough networks of neurons firing in a sequence, pattern, and combination, and they fire in tandem, you'll get a different image of yourself, of who you think you are. And the moment that image of yourself is in your brain and you accept, believe, and surrender to it without any analysis, the thought that you're thinking in your brain is going to slip right past your analytical mind and stimulate your autonomic nervous system to produce a different batch of chemicals. And it's going to signal a different hormonal center. Yes or no? And the moment it signals that hormonal center, the body's going to start responding to the mind. Yes? The moment the person is feeling that way, they're going to think more corresponding thoughts. And they're broadcasting energy out of that center. You know what I'm talking about, yeah? Has its own frequency, its own information. The brain is monitoring it. Now listen, I've had my animator change this 3 times. The first one was very, very out of the box. And I showed it in London, and I was like, oh my God. I called him up. I said, would you change that? He said, well, you told me to make up whatever I wanted. I said, yeah, but I didn't. So you get enough networks of neurons firing, you reaffirm the ideal of who you think you are. You really think you're that. And then, of course, the thought in your mind becomes the experience produces an emotion, and now you're taking all of that creative energy and you are storing it in that center. The body's becoming the mind of a sexual identity. Are you with me still? And people, of course, can do this for years on end. Yes? And all of that energy is being stored in the first 3 centers of the body. Now, first 3 centers of the body have everything to do with survival. There's nothing wrong with it. Nature made procreation and reproduction very pleasurable, so people keep doing it. The species continues. Consumption and eating should be pleasurable, safe to eat. Oh my God. Oh. Wow. Well, you get the idea. The third center, when you overcome the conditions in your life and you succeed, you feel really good about that. When you overcome something, there's a feeling of joy and pleasure that happens with it. But when we're overutilizing these centers, we're storing all the energy in the first 3 centers and nobody feels love anymore. Right? All the energy is trapped in the first 3 centers. You got it? So then the body becomes the mind. When feelings become the means of thinking, you can't think greater than how you feel. You're addicted to some emotion, or you neurochemically memorized an emotion. Now that's part of your personality. Are you with me still? So look, here's a magnet. A magnet has a north pole and a south pole. Yes? The body is actually a magnet, and it has a North Pole and the South Pole. And Asian cultures have known this for thousands and thousands of years. And there's a current that actually travels through the body that can be mapped. And just like a magnet, it should be producing a field. So then here's a magnet, here's a North Pole, and here's a South Pole. And there's an invisible electromagnetic field that exists around the magnet. The stronger the polarity, or the more current that's flowing through there, the bigger the field. So then if you took a piece of paper and set it down, and then you took metal shavings and you put it on top of a piece of paper, and then you put another piece of paper on top of it and you put a magnet on top of it, those metal shavings would organize themselves in the pattern of that electromagnetic field. So energy is having an effect on matter. So the Earth has its own electromagnetic field. It has a North Pole and it has a South Pole. And its electromagnetic field protects the Earth from the sun's radiation. And when the sun releases mass coronal ejections, trillions of tons of photons, in a solar flare that's being hurled towards the Earth, it's the electromagnetic belts, or the field around the Earth, that protects it from the radiation. Are you with me still? Yes. And then when it hits those particular electromagnetic fields, it's called the Northern Lights. I took this picture off a front page of a newspaper when I was in Toronto a couple years ago, and this was the Northern Lights the evening I was there. Isn't nature beautiful? So then, think about this. Come on. If 5% of who you are is your conscious mind, energy stored in the brain and mind, and 95% of who you are is programmed subconsciously, where the body is the mind, are you listening closely? Then you have a lot of energy stored in the body and it's disproportionate to the mind, yes or no? Now reason this, if you're living by the hormones of stress, and that's 70% of the time, and you're drawing from this invisible field of energy, and you're turning it into chemistry, or you're living in survival, and you're over-consuming, you're overeating, you're over-stressed, you're over-sexual, and you keep drawing from this field and turning it into chemistry, the field around your body is going to shrink, yes or no? And if you're thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking and caught up in this loop, and you're conditioning the body to become the mind of those emotions, then you pretty much are a piece of metal with no charge. Did you get that? You're not a magnet anymore. The body's no longer a magnet. It's just a piece of metal with no charge, because now you have all this energy stored in the body, and because we feel more like matter and less like energy, we have very little energy in the brain, then there is no charge in the body, because the body is the mind of that particular state, being matter. Are you with me still? Yes. Did you get that? Yes. So then, there's gotta be a way to run a current through the body and also begin to liberate this energy. Would you agree? So then, is there a way to begin to pull the mind out of the body and ascend that energy and turn it into pure energy, instead of guilt, instead of suffering, instead of anger, instead of aggression? Are you with me still? Now check this out. Right down here at the base of your spine, you have a bone that looks like an upside down triangle. That's called your sacrum bone. Did you ever hear of it? It looks like an upside down triangle, and it has a plateau. And on that plateau sits the spinal column. And it protects the spinal cord, and it goes right up to your brain, and then there's this ivory cavern that protects your brain. You with me still? So now, that closed system, bony structures, the skull, the spinal column, and the sacrum, protects the most delicate system in your body called the central nervous system. The central nervous system is your brain and your spinal cord. Are you with me still? Now, your central nervous system controls and coordinates all other systems in your body. You couldn't blink your eyes, you couldn't digest your food, you couldn't move your body, you couldn't eliminate your waste, you couldn't do anything without the aid of your nervous system. It's the wires that run the machine. Are you with me still? Now, inside that closed system, there are filters in the brain that filter blood and make a substance called cerebral spinal fluid. Are you with me still? Now, cerebral spinal fluid is inside this closed system, and it's a fluid that creates buoyancy for the central nervous system. It protects it against trauma. It allows certain chemicals and molecules to flow from one part of the nervous system to the other through rivers and channels, distributes chemistry, and it facilitates electrical charges, electrical current in the nervous system. It enhances conductivity. Are you with me still? So now check this out. If we were just having a glass of wine and we were talking, every time you inhale, this sacrum bone slowly flexes back. And when you exhale, it flexes forward. At the same exact time when you inhale, the sutures of your skull that fit together like this, when you inhale, they slowly open up and they slowly close. Are you with me still? So then if I take this bone back here called your sacrum bone and I flex it back, and I flex it forward, and at the same time my skull is opening and closing, there's a little pumping mechanism going on here. And all of a sudden you start propagating this wave. And it's moving that cerebral spinal fluid slowly up. Are you with me still? And as the skull does this, it's pushing the fluid down. It's distributing that fluid. So if you were to tag one molecule of cerebral spinal fluid and watch it in a healthy person go all the way up, it would go all the way up to the brain. It would go through 4 cerebral aqueducts, 4 different chambers of the brain, 4 ventricles, and then return all the way back down. It would take 12 hours for that to happen. So you flush your brain twice a day. You got that? Now, in this work, we do a very specific breath to pull the mind out of the body and liberate that energy, to free the body from the past. Because if the emotion is stored in the body is in the past. Are you with me still? So then what would happen if you were to contract your intrinsic muscles, your perineum, your lower abdomen and upper abdomen? What if you were to contract those muscles and squeeze them in? You know where your perineum is? It's the space between things down there. It's your pelvic floor. The muscles you use for elimination and intercourse, you're going to use those same muscles in a different way. Are you with me still? So what would happen if you were to lock down each one of those muscles that are connected to these first 3 centers and squeeze them in? If you squeeze them in, which way is that fluid going to go? Up. Yes? So then, what if you were to place your attention on the top of your head right here? Because where you place your attention is where you place your... So that's your target. Are you with me still? Now, what if you were to take one slow, steady breath and at the same time inhale through your nose with the intention of pulling the mind out of the body and ascending your energy? Are you with me still? If you were to inhale through your nose and at the same time lift these muscles up and in and begin to breathe and keep your attention on the top of your head, as you squeeze these muscles and you breathe, you begin to accelerate that cerebral spinal fluid. Are you with me still? Now, if you take cerebral spinal fluid and you look at it, it's made of proteins and salts in solution. And the moment you take proteins and salts and you drop them in solution, they develop a charge. They're charged molecules. Are you with me still? So now you have these charged molecules that are moving very slowly up and down, and all of a sudden you're contracting and inhaling, you're accelerating them. You with me? Now, where's my engineers and physicists in the audience? What happens when you accelerate a charged molecule? When you accelerate a charged molecule, you create what's called an inductance field, a circular field that's moving up like this along the axis of the accelerated charged molecule. You with me still? I'm not making this stuff up. If you accelerate many charged molecules, you will produce a bigger, stronger field. Yes or no? So information is going from your brain to your body and body to brain up and down this fiber optic cable called your spinal cord. You with me still? you know, your bladder's full, you got things to do, as your information is going up and down, you're hungry, all that stuff is taking place. When you inhale and you contract all of those muscles and you draw that energy up and you start accelerating all these charged molecules and you create this inductance field like this, which way is the energy going to go from the body? And all of the energy you use for orgasm, to make a baby, ejaculation, digesting a meal, all the energy you use in survival and in stress, instead of it being released out, it's going to be released up. Are you with me still? And you are going to wake up a sleeping dragon. And when this energy starts to move, it is a moving freight train. And when that energy finally erupts, your sympathetic nervous system is going to switch on. And when it switches on, it's going to ejaculate that energy right up towards your brain. Are you listening? I'm using words that you can relate with. We are on the East Coast of the United States. And all of a sudden, as that energy starts to move up, here goes all the guilt. You are taking that energy, that emotion that's stagnant and stored in your body, and you are liberating it like an alchemist. Base metals, limited emotions, into elevated emotions, into gold. And you got to go after it. And you got to have a commitment and intensity that's greater than your addiction to guilt. You listening? You got to use your body as an instrument of consciousness, and you got to be more energy than matter when you do it, and you got to become inspired. Are you listening closely? Now, as you start working this energy and you keep doing the breath, as you keep doing it, all of a sudden, when that sympathetic nervous system switches on, and merges right with the parasympathetic nervous system, and all of a sudden you'll start feeling very different. And just like an orgasm, you know when it's going to happen. You can start feeling this energy starting to go. And all I want you to do is surrender into it. Because the moment that sympathetic nervous system switches on and it's driving that energy up to your brain, a gate in the brainstem opens up called the thalamic gate. And the moment it opens up, the reticular formation, this net-like web of nuclei right in the brainstem that's editing information and filtering information from your brain to your body just pops wide open. And all of a sudden, all that energy from your body is now like a champagne bottle going back up into your brain. And the moment it hits your brain, the brain goes into gamma brainwave patterns. We've measured this so many times. And now the person is super conscious. They're super aware. And they're having an orgasm. They're in bliss. They are in absolute bliss. They're connecting to the field. Are you with me still? Now, when we do this breath, we put our attention on the top of the head. I ask people to inhale through their nose and pull that energy all the way to the top. And when they get to the top of their head, I ask them to keep those muscles contracted, not let them go, and hold their breath. Now, this is not a torture session. Because when you squeeze those muscles and you hold your breath, you're increasing pressure inside your spinal column called intrathecal pressure. You know when you lift something up and you do that? You're pushing against your insides? Well, as you squeeze those muscles and hold your breath and squeeze a little bit more, I'm not asking you to turn purple and explode. All I want you to do is inhale slowly and pull that up, pull it up, pull it up, pull it up, and squeeze a little bit more, and just exert a little pressure up into your brain. Because right at the base of the third ventricle sits the pineal gland. And when that energy strikes the pineal gland, and you're holding your breath and you're pushing against that pineal gland, there's tiny little crystals in the pineal gland that are calcium carbonate crystals. And when you exert a mechanical stress on those crystals, it produces what's called the piezoelectric effect. It takes a mechanical stress and turns it into electromagnetic energy. And when that magnetic energy gets to a certain point and the crystals are stretched, all of a sudden the crystals contract and the field goes right back and produces another stress against the crystals, which then produces another electromagnetic field. And now, you got a little antenna going on up there. And you're awakening your pineal gland. Now, you listen closely. The moment that energy strikes the pineal gland, and that energy is very different than it was sitting down here. When it moves, by the time it strikes the pineal gland, it's a higher frequency. And it's going to begin to influence the chemistry of the gland. Are you listening closely? And all of a sudden, something magical happens. The pineal gland takes melatonin and begins to turn it into some very profound metabolites. Two of the most powerful antioxidants known to man. Anti-cancer, anti-aging, anti-heart disease, anti-stroke, anti-neurodegenerative, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. 2 molecules. You take that molecule and you just tweak it again by adding another methyl group or a few other carbon molecules, and now you have the same chemical found in hibernating animals. Why is that important? In hibernation, the body goes into stasis. There's no drives, there's no sex drive, there's no appetite. The body is no longer the mind. It's no longer bothering you. And if you're going to become a butterfly as a caterpillar, it might be a good idea that you want to get beyond your body. Yes or no? If you take that molecule and you tweak it again, you have the same chemical found in electric eels, a biophospholuminescent chemical that produces very high energy and amplitudes in the nervous system. You saw it on the charts last night. Yes? That's that chemical. The nervous system is becoming activated. Higher energy, higher amplitudes. And of course, the biophospholuminescent creates wonderful, pristine imagery and colors. You take that molecule, you tweak it again, and you have the most powerful hallucinogenic known to man, dimethyltryptamine. And all of a sudden, what's going on between your ears is way more real than anything that's in this realm. And your senses are heightened in that realm, and your awareness is heightened, you're conscious, and this is heightened, your brain is in gamma brainwave patterns, and it's processing a different energy. Are you with me still? And you go dimensional. It is the door to dimensions. You take that molecule and you tweak it again, and you make a benzodiazepine. You know what that is? Valium. It anesthetizes the analytical mind. It begins to relax the thinking brain. The person all of a sudden is calm, they feel safe, they're relaxed and super aware. And that's why our students can be in delta during their meditation, because those neurotransmitters are just chilling them out. They're relaxed. The unknown's happening and they're not afraid of it. They're present with it. Do you understand? So then the breath then is designed to pull the mind out of the body and to liberate this energy. And when the energy moves up into the brain, we've just measured this in Italy. Oh, we got a beautiful, beautiful three-dimensional picture of the brain when a person's in high gamma during the breath, and the whole neocortex is turned off, sedated, but in gamma, and the center of the pineal gland is bright red. This just proved our theory. It's beautiful. And that person was connecting to the unified field, and this center in the back of the brain connects you to that realm called time-space, where there's an eternal amount of time. In this realm, there's an eternal amount of space. In the quantum, you have an infinite amount of time. Time is eternal, and all of space, all dimensions exist in the eternal now, all possibilities. There is no past life or future life, it's all now. Do you understand? And then, when that occurs, what is equal to your own soul's evolution, things start to be revealed to you. And the biggest lie we've been ever told is that we're linear beings living a linear life. We are dimensional beings living a dimensional life. And when the doors of dimension open to you, and you get a glimpse of who you really are, you're not going to take your coworker so seriously. I swear to you. Because you're going to be in many dimensions. Your life is going to get very different. Are you with me still? Now, do you understand what I'm talking about? Yes? So let's give some pictures here to just cement it, and then we'll take a break. Okay? Poke the person next to you, please. and tell them that you're in love with their pineal gland. So, here's a magnet. You got it? It doesn't have a field like that. The field around the magnet looks like that. It's three-dimensional. Are you with me still? So then if your body is a magnet and you're more in survival than creation, and you've been thinking and feeling and stored all that energy as emotion in those first three centers, and now you're more matter and less energy, you're not running a current through your body. There's no magnet. So it's just like that piece of metal, but there's no field around it. There's no charge. And Asian cultures have known this for generations, because as you start to accelerate that energy, that fluid, and it begins to create that inductance field, you're activating a tube in your body called the prana tube that yogis have talked about for thousands of years. You're activating the movement of energy. And that begins to run a current, and as it passes up through each vertebral segment, there's nerves that go to different parts of your body, and all of a sudden, you're running a current through your nervous system as it passes through each center. Are you with me still? Did you get that? And all of a sudden, you have the movement of energy. And according to Asian cultures, all disease is the blocking of the flow of energy. So then they say, okay, the energy is not flowing through certain meridians, through certain pathways. Let's put some conductors called steel needles here, and we'll move the energy all the way out. Are you with me still? So when you do this breath, and you inhale, and you start moving this energy, you are going to create a current running through your body. You're going to feel it. And if you do the same things, you get the same things happening in your life. But if you try something different, you should have a different experience. Just saying. So pulling the mind out of the body, or what we call changing your energy. Here's a charged molecule. You accelerate it, it creates an inductance field around it. Did you see that? Watch again. You got it? If I take several more charged molecules and I accelerate them, I'm going to create a bigger field around it. Yes? So then, all this energy is sitting in the first three centers in your body, in the centers of survival. And you want to draw that energy from survival and take those survival emotions, turn them into creative emotions, elevated emotions. And it's like pulling fluid up a straw. You're pulling it up that tube, and you're creating an electromagnetic field. Does that make sense? And the only image that I use when I do this is just drawing fluid up a straw. I'm just pulling that energy up. I'm not thinking, I'm not analyzing, I'm not resisting. I just keep going. And I now know, I've done it enough times, I've been knocked unconscious by this energy so many times. And people are always worried about me, you know, and I'm on the ground, and they're, oh my God, I'm having the time of my life. I just want you to know. So then, that field that's created is not a two-dimensional field. It's actually a three-dimensional field. Looks like this. Are you with me still? So, if you accelerate those charged molecules, you create this field called a torus field. And most of the universe is created from a torus field. You should know that, yes? So you have your own little universe going there. And as you begin to create this torus field, of course, you're drawing energy up from your body, and you're producing it in a field. Does that make sense? So then here's your sacrum bone down here. This is your target, way up here. As you contract those intrinsic muscles with your attention on the top of your head, and you're inhaling in one slow, steady breath, you're drawing that fluid all the way up into your brain. The moment it makes it up into your brain, it should begin to produce a measurable electromagnetic field. Are you with me still? But that field is not two-dimensional. The field is actually three-dimensional. Are you with me still? Now, is this making sense to you? Is knowledge the precursor to experience? The more knowledge you have, the more prepared you are for the event, yes? So if you understand what you're doing and why, the how should get a little easier, yeah? So then there's your target, you're inhaling, you're pulling this energy up, and the moment it strikes your brain, you should become a magnet. And you should begin to go from a piece of inert metal with no charge to running a current in your body and having a measurable electromagnetic field surrounding your body. You're running a current. You with me still? There you are. You're sitting there. you're contracting those intrinsic muscles. Your attention is on the top of your head, and you got to get past this center right here. Once it moves through the center, it starts to move pretty freely all the way up into your brain. The moment it reaches your brain, it produces an electromagnetic field. Yes? But that field is not two-dimensional. That field is actually three-dimensional. You with me still? So your breath should be your intent to raise your energy. Are you with me still? Your breath should be your will to transmute an emotion, a limited emotion, into an elevated emotion. Are you with me still? And you generate this field around your body. Now, check it out. As you do it, each one of these energy centers has a different frequency. So as you're moving them, there's slower frequency here, but as it moves up, the field gets a little tighter and a little faster. It's got to pass through this little tiny little passageway here, big container into a small container, and when it gets up in here, when it reaches your brain then, you produce a measurable electromagnetic field. How many people are understanding this? Now, I know people have done a lot of different breaths, and I know about Kundalini, but you've noticed I'm not using those words because I don't want to exclude anybody. Yes? But I'm asking you to do it this way and do it differently so you can have a different experience. How does that sound? So then, check this out, because this is the closest I can describe it. You got to get passionate, and when it reaches this fourth center, it begins to activate it. As it moves through this fifth center, some people get afraid of it because it can close their throat off. It moves to the sixth center right here, and finally when it moves into the brain, it's a very, very fast frequency, and all of a sudden, the energy moves even above your head, and you produce this electromagnetic field. But the cool thing is that there's a reverse field now. Now you're drawing information from the unified field. And now it's coming down through your centers into your body. And so many of our students, when they've done this, they've said, it was like my body was bathed in light. This cone of light came right through the top of my head, and my depression is gone. I mean, I'm telling you, those are their exact words. Are you with me still? Does that make sense to you? So now, we had this guy at one of our advanced workshops come up on the stage, and he said, hey, I travel for a living, and I had to go on a flight from Phoenix to Los Angeles, to Orange County, and I had a 6 o'clock flight, and there was a lot of traffic in Phoenix, and I got up at 3:30, and I packed, and I didn't have time to do my meditation. So what I did was, when I was driving in the Phoenix traffic, every time I came to a stoplight, I would close my eyes and do this breath. Now, I don't recommend this at all. But this is what he did. And he said I was having the most amazing experience, because he wasn't really expecting anything, and of course he just got into it, and all of a sudden that energy started to move, and every time he got to the light, he would be in bliss, and so he gets to the parking lot, parks his car, grabs his bag, runs the security line, throws his bag on the security line, and then he gets in the Tetra scan. The guy pulls him out of line, and he said to him, can I touch the top of your head? And he said, sure. So he leans over, he touches the top of his head, and he said, why are you touching the top of my head? And he goes, well, look at that. There's something coming out of the top of your head here. So I told that story in Austin last year, and there was a guy in the audience named Jorge, who was an engineer that worked for Halliburton and traveled for a living as well. Now, I've seen this guy move energy, and it has scared him many times. I have seen him, what it has done to him, and I've seen the look in his eye. And that energy came right down his hands and lit him up. And now he quit his job. He's not even an engineer, he's a healer now, because that energy is moving right through him. Are you with me? He said, he raised his hand in the audience and he said, you're not going to believe this. Just a few weeks ago, I was in the Houston airport and I was trying to catch a flight, and I went through the Tetra scan and they pulled me out and they asked if they could touch the top of my head. And he touched the top of his head and he turned around and he looked, and there was this big thing coming out of the top of his head. So then I said, hell, I'm going to try this. I travel a lot. But then I said, I'm going to change up the experiment. So what I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to rest my attention in the center of my chest, because there's a big brain right in there, 60,000, 80,000 neurites. And I am going to breathe in and breathe out the love of God until I'm intoxicated. And I'm going to keep my energy there, and I'm going to radiate it beyond my body. And that energy is going to carry the intent for the greatest good of everybody who comes across my work. That's just what I wanted to do. So then I got really inspired, because you can always do it better when you're doing it for others. You know how that goes, right? This is a selfless center. So here I am, I'm just consumed. Meditation ends, I got a 6:30 flight, boom, I'm out the door, and of course I forget. And I get right into the thing, and I go like this, and boom, here goes the thing, and the guy takes me out, and he says his exact words, "Can I touch your chest?" And I said, "Why?" He said, "Are you wearing a medallion?" I said, "You mean, am I wearing bling?" He goes, "Yeah, are you wearing some big medallion here?" I say, "No." He goes, "Well, can I touch your chest?" So he touches my chest, and I turn around, and there's just a huge yellow thing right here. And now, when we travel, when my staff travels, we always go, okay, let's see where we're going to do it. So Paula does it, and she opens her focus, and it's on her ears. It's just where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Are you with me still? Yes. Now, when I say that you have to go after this with a level of intensity that's greater than your body as your mind, that you can't let your body be your mind, and that when we play the music, you have to interpret the music as the movement of energy. You got to become inspired and invincible. You got to get big, because that starts the process. It actually activates gamma in the brain when you do that. Are you with me still? You can't sit there and go, "Oh, I don't know if I can do this," or "I'm just going to wait." Nothing's going to happen for you. You understand? You got to go after it. And so as you start inhaling and contracting these muscles, you're waking up that sleeping dragon, and all those rolled up charged molecules that are just energy stored in your body are going to unravel, and that energy is going to travel to your brain. And when it does, there goes all the guilt, there goes all the pain, there goes all the aggression. It's turning into pure energy, and it's going right up into your brain. Because if the emotion is stored in the body's in the past. So you are freeing yourself and creating a field. Are you with me still? And I'm telling you, I watched that lady, 78 years old, in Los Angeles. I watched her head kick back, and I watched that energy strike her in the brain. She walked right up to the stage, and she said, "I haven't felt like this in 40 years. I said, "That's energy, honey." And she was pretty awake. So you can't tell me you're too old to do this. Not after that lady. So then, if there's a marching band, and the marching band is moving like this, and the first person stops, what's going to happen to everybody else? Yeah? So if you're drawing this energy up, and this happens to so many people, you got to get all this energy from a big container right through this little passage here. And when you start thinking about who's feeding your cat back home, or how long you're going to do this, and you lose your attention, that energy is going to stop right in your throat. And some people get nauseous. Some people, their throat closes up. Sometimes they get dizzy because they've lost their focus just before it gets to their brain. You understand? You got to follow it the whole way. And if you're analyzing and thinking, you're in the way. All I want you to do is just keep following the instructions. Now, we're not going to do it yet, but I'm just talking about this. Yes? Because you're all looking at me like, "Oh, God. This guy's for real. I liked him up until this point. Now we got to do something." So then, when that energy finally releases into the brain, then the body, the channel is opened up, and you have a very strong field. And now you feel connected, you feel euphoric, because the body's being freed from the past. You understand that, yes? And so now, before we break, let's do this. Sit up. We're going to break in a minute. Can you give me your best for a few minutes here? Okay, now, all I want you to do is lift up your perineum, your pelvic floor. Just lift it up. The muscles you use for elimination, the muscles you use for intercourse, just lift them up. Lift it up and hold it. Become aware. Are you doing that? So you're having an experience, yes? You're doing something differently and you're creating a new neurological network, yes? Causing the string together in a different way. Relax. Come on, gentlemen. Lift them up. Up again. Lift them up again. Come on, perineum, just lift it up. You didn't think you'd be doing Pilates on a Sunday morning, did you? Hold it up. Come on, I'm doing it with you. You're milking that center. You're using those muscles in a different way. Relax. You with me still? Here we go again. Lift again. Creating a neurological network. Firing and wiring. Hold it up. Hold it up. Lift it up a little bit more. Come on. No faces. And relax. You got that one now? Turn the person next to you and tell them you got it. All right, here we go now. We're building a model here. We're building, taking steps, just like learning a golf swing. You got to learn steps. Perineum, lower abdomen, first two centers. Lift it up. Perineum, lock down your lower abdomen. Pull it up and in, just those two centers, and squeeze. You can breathe. Don't hold your breath yet. And relax. You got that one? Let's do it again. Come on, perineum, lower abdomen. Lift them up. And hold. Come on, I'm doing it with you. And relax. Come on, one more now. Perineum, lower abdomen. And this time, I want you to think if you can contract them a little more than you are. Right there. Squeeze a little more. You got control over those? Come on, you're pulling your abdomen in and up. First two centers. Squeeze, lift your perineum with it. And relax. You got the first two? Turn the person next to you and tell them you got it. All right, now ready? Here we go. First center, first, second, third. Lower perineum, lower abdomen, upper abdomen. Lift them up and in and squeeze. Come on, all three. Come on, you got to sit up for this. Come on, squeeze. Lift that perineum up. Pull in that lower abdomen, upper abdomen. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and relax. How was that? You're burning calories. Think about it like that. You're going to have a cookie on the break because you're burning calories. All right, here we go. Perineum, lower abdomen, upper abdomen again. Come on, pull them up and in and squeeze. Your core, first three centers. Squeezing the toothpaste from the bottom. Hold it and relax. Come on, don't look at me like I don't like you anymore. Don't do it. Come on, here we go. Perineum, lower abdomen, upper abdomen. One more time. Squeeze. Come on, pull them up and in. Hold. Make sure you're breathing. And relax. You got that? Turn the person next to you and tell them you got it. Take your finger, place it on the top of your head, and take your fingernail and work it in there. Now, here's my question. If you take your hand away, can you still feel that point? So you can put your awareness there, yeah? So if you have your attention there, your energy's there, yes? That's your target. You with me still? Take your finger, work it in there again. You got it? Take it away. Can you become aware of that point? Okay, now listen closely. You are not going to contract any muscles now. Did you hear me? But what we're going to do is we're going to practice following the breath. So listen closely. I'm going to ask you in a minute, not now, to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to take a slow, steady breath through your nose. Are you listening? And you're going to follow your breath from your perineum, through your lower abdomen, through your upper abdomen, through your chest, through your throat, through your brain, right to the top of your head. And when you get to the top of your head, you're going to hold your breath and keep your attention right there. You got that? Take your finger, work it in one more time. Now sit up straight. Keep that channel straight open here now. Okay, now take your hands down, close your eyes, put your attention on the top of your head. And now, in one slow, steady breath, inhale through your nose and follow your breath from your perineum, through your lower abdomen, through your upper abdomen, through your chest, through your throat, through your brain, all the way to the top of your head. And when you get to the top of your head, hold your breath and keep your attention on the top of your head and let your energy follow your awareness. And hold it. And now you can exhale and relax. How'd you do? Okay, take your finger, work it in. Come on, I want you to have this experience. Work it in there. Okay, take your finger away. Sit up straight, eyes closed, like drawing fluid up a straw. I want you to inhale through your nose while you keep your attention on the top of your head. Follow your breath from your perineum all the way up your spine to the top of your head. When you get to the top of your head, hold your breath and keep your attention at the top of your head and let your energy follow your awareness. And hold it. And as you exhale, relax. You did good on that. Now, let's put it all together and then we'll break. Here's how we're going to do this. Listen closely. You're going to take your finger and work it into the top of your head. Now listen closely. At the exact same time that you inhale through your nose, you're going to lift up those lower centers and contract all those intrinsic muscles. Your intent is to pull that energy from those lower centers all the way up into your brain. That's what your breath represents. Do you understand? When you get to the top of your head, I'm going to ask you to hold your breath and squeeze those muscles. And I'm going to say to you, squeeze a little more. And I want you to lift up and squeeze a little more. And you're going to start bumping up against the crystals of that pineal gland, exerting a mechanical stress there. Okay? Don't get mad at me. Just do this with me, okay? Okay. Take your finger, work it on the top of your head. Hands down. Now, close your eyes. Remember, the intention is to pull this energy from those first three centers into your brain. Remember the tube that exists there, like drawing fluid up a straw. Now, inhale, and at the exact same time, lift those muscles up and in and follow your breath. Come on, pull those muscles up and in and follow your breath. Perineum, lower abdomen, upper abdomen, through your chest, through your throat, through your brain, all the way to the top of your head, and hold your breath. Keep your attention on the top of your head and squeeze those muscles. Come on, squeeze a little more. And lift up and hold right there, right there. Hold right there. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And as you exhale, relax. Oh my God, he's trying to kill us. Okay, last one and then we'll break. Finger on the top of the head. Come on, give me your best. That's all I ever want from you. Hands down. Come on, you can do this. Now, make it happen this time. Sit up straight, eyes closed, and in one slow, steady breath, with the intention of pulling the mind out of the body, inhale and lift those muscles up and in and pull that energy from those lower three centers all the way up into your brain. And when you get to the top of your head, keep those muscles contracted and hold your breath. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. And as you exhale, relax. Oh my God. Now, when we break, when you come back, I have some entertainment for you. I'm going to show you some amazing clips of people doing some of the most amazing things. And you are going to get some of those elevated emotions going. And we got to get those chemicals and those juices flowing, because after that, we're going to pull the mind out of the body, and then we are going to recondition the body to a new mind. And you're going to get up feeling very differently than when you started. Let me tell you how the rest of the morning is going to go for you Newtonian physicists that need to predict your future. I'm going to show you some media files of people doing some amazing things to touch you emotionally in different places and in different ways, just to get those chemicals going of the elevated emotions, so that when we get into the meditation, when we pull the mind out of the body, and I know you have a lot of questions, and I know it's difficult to figure out what you're doing, but I'm going to review it many, many times today. How does that sound? And just like when you learn how to snowboard or you learn how to knit or whatever, in the beginning it takes a lot of conscious effort, yeah? And then when you start getting it down, you relax a little bit more and it becomes a coordinated motion. So be kind to yourself, okay? I'm setting you up for the experience and you have enough information, but I'll review it, and then after you do it, I'll review it again, and you'll meet truth at a different level. You'll hear it differently because you've had the experience. Are you with me still? So, can you give me your best? Yes. Your absolute best? Yes. Okay. When you're confused, you're always about ready to learn something. Remember that. Here we go. One eye on the screen, one eye on your partner. Lower the lights, please. How is it in the deep south of the United States? Preacher moves into a state of religious ecstasy and drinks strychnine, drinks poison, and has no biological effects. Or the snake charmer in India alters his state of being and gets bit by a poisonous snake and has no blood coagulation. Or the mother whose child is trapped under the car walks over and lifts the car up and pulls the child out. Or the children of Indonesia move into a state of trance and chew and eat glass and have no internal bleeding. Or the tribes of the South Pacific raise their energy and walk across a bed of hot coals. You would have to say that in each one of these cases, every one of those individuals made a decision with such firm intention that the amplitude of that decision carried a level of energy that was greater than their body as their mind. And in that moment, they made a choice. And that choice changed their state of being. Would you agree? Yes. And it caused them to be immune to the laws of the environment, immune to the typical laws of the body, and suspended in time. Would you agree? In other words, the mother doesn't walk over and go, I had carbohydrates the last 2 days. I haven't worked out. I looked at myself in the mirror. There's no way I'm going to lift this thing up. I wonder how this is going to go. That's not going to lift up the car. Would you agree? Would you agree that the preacher that just drank strychnine goes, God, I hope I have enough faith here? That's a little wishy-washy. Would you agree? Yes. That the decision that they make carries an energy that suspends them from the laws of the body, the environment, and time. Yes or no? Yes. Turn the person next to you and explain that. So then, would you agree that it was energy that changed their biology? Yes. And would you agree they had to come out of their resting state, their normal resting state, and they had to give their body a sampling of energy that would allow them to step into a different future? Come on, are you with me? Yes. So then, your body is made up of 70 trillion to 120 trillion cells. A community of cells that are being governed by consciousness. Are you with me still? And, you know, those cells are all spying on your thoughts, on your brain. In fact, if I said to you, fake standing up 9 out of 10 times, but one time I want you to actually stand up, Do you know that before you've made that conscious decision, your body already knows when it's going to happen? Because it has to release a certain amount of adrenaline to keep the same volume of blood going to your brain so you don't pass out. You with me still? So the body is the most precognitive thing that we have. You know what I mean when you get around a certain situation, around a certain person, your body's giving you information. Yes? So then, if you have these 70 trillion to 120 trillion cells, that's the community that you're managing. And, you know, you're sitting on the couch with the remote control, and you have your computer over here, you have your smartphone here, you have your tablet here, the beer is right there, and you go like this. Oh, I think I'm going to change tomorrow. What kind of signal is your body getting? You know what your body's getting? He's lying to himself again. Relax. Nothing's going to change. Would you agree? Yes. Body's not getting any new information, any new signal. But you ever notice when you painted yourself into a corner and you say, this is it. I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what's going on in my life, environment. I don't care how I feel, body. I don't care how long this takes time. I'm going to do this, and the hair on the back of your neck stands up. What kind of signal is the body getting in that moment? It's like when I jump on my stallion, I wrap my legs around him and I give him a little kick. We ride. He gets it. And your body begins to respond to a new mind because you are giving your body a sampling emotionally of the future. You're giving it a taste of the future. And in that moment, it is greater than the hardwired programs in your brain, that energy, and greater than the emotional addiction in your body. And in that moment, the choice that you make becomes an experience that you never forget. The choice then becomes a long-term memory because the end product of an experience is an emotion, and emotions create long-term memories. So your choice in that moment, carrying an amplitude of energy that was greater than the hardwired programs in your brain and the emotional addiction in your body, caused your body to move from the past-present reality to a future-present reality. And you changed your state of being. How many people are with me? Turn to the person next to you and have an enlivening conversation about that, please. Don't do that, just talk. Come on, some of that information bounced off some of you. It bounced off. Let's start again. Experiences create emotions, yes or no? Yes. The more heightened the quotient of the emotion from the experience, the more you remember it. So emotions and experiences create long-term memories, yes or no? Yes. Okay. So then you have an experience in your life that brands you emotionally, and it leaves a footprint neurologically in your brain, and your body is chemically conditioned into the past, yes or no? Yes. So then, would you agree then? If you're sitting there and you're making a decision in that moment with an amplitude of energy that was greater than that past experience emotionally, are you with me still? And you raise your energy, and that raising of energy causes your body to respond to a new mind, and the choice that you make is the experience, because the end product of experience is that emotion. And the moment you feel differently inside of you, you're going to pay attention to the thought that you have your attention on, and you're going to begin to emboss a long-term memory. Are you with me still? And now, the body literally is moving out of the past-present reality because experience enriches the brain. And experience produces an emotion. And the inward experience, the inward choice, is greater than any past external experience. And now, you are more energy than matter, you are more wave than particle, and you are connected to a future. Are you with me still? How can I say to a cattle farmer that comes into my clinic, not that I'm ever there anymore, but when I was there, and I can put up a chest x-ray of his spine, and I can look at that chest x-ray And I can say, Delbert, see that spot on your lungs, Delbert? Yes, I do. Well, Delbert, I don't like that spot. Well, what is it? Well, Delbert, it's not good. Delbert, you smoke? Yes, I do. Delbert, how long you been smoking? 45 years. Well, Delbert, if you keep smoking, I'm concerned that spot is going to get worse. Well, what do I do? And I look him in the eye and I say, Delbert, you have to stop smoking. And he locks in eye to eye with me. And he says, okay. And that's the last day he smoked. No patches, no vapors, no chewing gum, no hypnosis. He made the choice. And the choice was greater energetically than the conditioning of his dependency on something outside of him to make him feel differently. Are you with me still? And the choice was his defining moment, and it became an experience that he never forgot, and his body responded to his mind. Are you with me still? Yes. Turn to the person next to you and explain that. Okay, so, are you with me? Yep. So then, in order for you to change some belief or perception about yourself and your life, you're going to have to come out of your resting state, and you're going to have to make a decision with such firm intention that the amplitude of that decision carries a level of energy that's greater than the hardwired programs in your brain from the past and the emotional addictions in your body from the past. That the choice that you make in that moment becomes the experience that you will never forget. That the inward experience is greater than any past external experience in your past. Are you with me still? So then think about this. We talked about this the other day. The moment you have an experience or experiences in your life that produce certain emotions, the higher the emotional quotient, the more you're going to pay attention to whatever caused it. Yes or no? Then that becomes kind of the architecture, the blueprint in which we think. We think within the neurological circuitry embossed in our brain from a past experience. We're using those circuits. Are you with me still? And we're feeling within the boundaries of those chemicals from those past experiences emotionally. Now think about this. If how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, then the majority of your thoughts and the majority of your feelings, consciousness, is in the box. Are you with me still? Of the past. Yes? So then, the more you think the same way, the more you feel the same way. Remember the animations, the more you hardwire the brain, the more you condition the body into the past. Yes or no? So then if you take a series of thoughts that are connected to a series of feelings, remember this morning, a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, that's called an attitude. A series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings, you say, I got a pretty good attitude today. Yes? A series of negative thoughts that are connected to a series of bad feelings, you got a pretty bad attitude. You with me still? So if how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, then attitudes are just shortened states of being, right? You can turn on a good attitude on Monday and a bad attitude on Wednesday. You can do that on your own, yes? So then if you take an attitude, an attitude, and an attitude, and you begin to string them together, you begin to form what's a belief. And a belief, when you begin to combine those attitudes, is just a thought you keep thinking over and over and over until you do hardwire it in your brain. Are you with me still? Yes. So now it becomes a software program. The hardware becomes a software and it becomes automatic. You with me still? Yes. So then, if how you think and how you feel creates your state of being, then over time, not only are you hardwiring it into your brain, but you are now emotionally conditioning it into your body. Yes or no? Come on. So then, If how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, and the redundancy of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking conditions the body to become the mind, then all beliefs are subconscious states of being. Are you listening? Yes. People don't even know that they believe that because it's programmed subconsciously. Are you with me still? And so then people create beliefs about themselves and their lives that is based on past experiences. But they're not true, they're just true for them. Are you with me still? Yes. Beliefs about money, beliefs about God, beliefs about culture, beliefs about food, beliefs about whatever. It's all created from past experiences. Yes or no? Yes. So then if you take a belief, and you start combining them together, you form what's called a perception. And perceptions have everything to do with the choices you make, the things you create, the relationships you have, and the behaviors that you demonstrate. And in fact, you want to study someone's beliefs and perceptions, study their behaviors, especially when they're alone. Are you with me still? So, thoughts and feelings create attitudes, attitudes create beliefs, and beliefs create perceptions. Yes or no? So then if a belief is a subconscious state of being, then most perceptions are unconscious states of being. Are you listening still? You're looking across the table to someone you've been married to for 40 years, and it's possible that you're not seeing them. It's possible that you're filling in your reality, your perception, based on a memory. Are you with me still? And so then they've proven this scientifically. You take a group of people and you have them wear these colored glasses. The glasses are divided in half. You look to the left, you see blue. You look to the right, you see yellow. Wear them the entire day. Wear them when you take your kids to school, when you go to work, when you're doing all your shopping, when you're doing everything. Just wear the glasses all the time. After 2 weeks, they bring these people into the laboratory. They say, look left, what color do you see? I don't see a color. No, look left, what color do you see? There's no color. Look to the right, what color do you see? I don't see a color. So scientists realized in that moment that it wasn't the eyes that see, it's the brain that sees. Yes? But here's the payoff. Those people, in order for them to emit the colored lens that they were looking through, would have to fill in reality based on their routine memories. Are you with me still? So then, do you think that you and I may be missing out on a little bit of reality because we are unconsciously expecting the next moment to exist as it does, because that's how we've been programmed? Turn the person next to you and talk about thoughts and feelings, attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions. So then, you understand then that we have beliefs and perceptions about ourselves and our lives that we're not even aware of. Yes or no? And they're running as a program, like a computer program, behind the scenes of our awareness. Yes or no? And what happens if you have too many programs opened up on your phone or on your computer, yeah? You gotta quit, you gotta do something, yes? Because it's consuming all the energy. So then people will say, well, I don't know why I keep getting hurt. I don't know why I keep hurting. What is it? Physical pain or emotional pain? Doesn't matter. I don't know why I keep failing at business. I don't know why I can't just do this right. Because it's based on their past belief from some past experience. Are you with me still? The experience produces an emotion, of course, and all of a sudden they begin to look to see what causes it, and then the moment they do that, we draw a conclusion about that experience. And the moment you draw the conclusion, you seal the deal. It becomes a belief. Then you understand what that means. And you can experience more and more separation the more you're living by the hormones of stress, which means you'll create more beliefs about those people over there, and those people over there, and those countries over there, and those colors over there. And it's all about separation. Are you with me still? And of course, you're either moving towards the unified field or you're moving away. You with me still? So then, Beliefs are created from past experiences, and a lot of those beliefs happen when we're children. Yeah, well, we're being raised by the same people who have the same beliefs now that we do. Are you with me still? Unless, of course, you crack somewhere in your life, you have the midlife crisis, and you just go, I'm done. And when you do that, all of a sudden you're saying, I don't want to turn out like that. There's got to be something else, yes? And that's why we're here, yeah? So, I grew up in an Italian household. My father was from a little town outside of Palermo in Sicily, and my mother was a first-generation Italian, and my grandparents were, my grandmother was African, half African, and my grandfather was from Siragusa, this other part of Sicily, and I grew up with Italian people. That's just the way it was, and that was my culture. And of course, I was the only blonde-haired Italian in my family, so I was the mutant, and that was a big deal. And so my mother's mother was such a passionate woman, and she was just, to me, she was just amazing. And she would go up and pray up in her altar up there, and my grandfather would go downstairs and make wine. So my brother would go downstairs with my grandfather, and then I would wait for my grandmother to walk into the room dressed in black with the thing. And I knew she was ready to go. And I'd wait, and then she'd leave the door always a little cracked, and there was one wall there must have been 13 crucifixions on that wall, just a guy on a tree, And then there was the Jesus pictures with the bleeding heart looking down like, I'm suffering and you're a sinner. But don't take it personally. And then there was the other one, which was, Jesus in the arms of Mary, and it's La Pietà, there's all of those scenes, And then she had her own kneeling thing with the candles in the mezzanine, And I love the smell to this day of that. She'd hit her knees, take out her rosaries, and she'd start going. And she'd just be whipping those rosaries around, and she was wailing. it was just a big thing. And I would watch her, and I just couldn't take any more of it. And I'd run down the stairs, and I'd run back up, I gotta look again. And she was such a cool lady, and she'd come out, and I would just be and she'd come over and pick me up, and sit down. And so I grew up in this one area of East Coast here, and then we moved to another town. And when I moved to another town, it was a completely different experience for me. It was my first day of 4th grade. And here I am sitting down at the chairs at 8, how you have the 3 here and the 3 here, 6 seats, and put them all the desks, you put them all together. So you have 2 girls on this side, and a girl in front, and 2 boys here, and a boy here. So I'm sitting down. My first day of 4th grade, we moved to a new town, and I got Allison Rubin over here. I got Nancy Lubars over here, and I got Lori Blinder right in front of me here. And I'm sitting next to these Jewish girls, and they break the news to me that Jesus wasn't Italian that day. That was a trauma for me. I believed he was Italian. So then I go home, and my mother asked me about the first day of school, and she's trying to grab my arm, and I'm just moving away from her, and she's following me around. Finally, she grabs me by the arm. What is wrong with you? I said, I thought Jesus was Italian. She goes, no, he was Jewish. I go, Jewish? Grandma's talking Italian to him every day. He looks Italian in all those pictures to me. And what's the deal with the Roman Empire? Isn't Rome in Italy? So I had to change my belief. Would you agree? So I talk about it in You Are the Placebo, and this doctor from Texas sends me a postcard. On the back of the postcard, it says, hey, Doc, on page 268, you were saying that Jesus was Italian, and I think you should read this postcard. So I get this postcard, and on the other side, it says, it's official. Jesus was Irish. He had 12 drinking friends. He trained as a carpenter to work on the buildings. He was unemployed. He lived with his mother till he was 33. He thought his mother was a virgin. His mother thought he was the Son of God. So then, we've been conditioned based on our past to believe certain things, yes or no? So how can you give someone a sugar pill, a saline injection, perform some false surgery or treatment, and a certain percentage of those people will accept, believe, and surrender to the thought without any analysis that they're getting the actual substance or treatment? Are you with me? So here's my first question. Is it the inert substance that's doing the healing, or is it the body's innate capacity to heal when it's stimulated in the right way? Are you with me still? So then, that pill represents a new potential in the quantum field called getting better. And you give it to a certain group of people, and blue pills work better than red pills. If you name a drug something that a patient cannot pronounce, it will work better because they'll be intimidated by it. What are you taking? I'm similar. What? So they give their power away to it, yes? If you name a drug that subconsciously sounds like something you want it to do, it'll work even better. Do you think it's a coincidence that Viagra rhymes with Niagara? Do you think that's a coincidence? That's a lot of flow. That's subconscious. Rogaine, grow, gain. It's all about subconscious programs. If you charge more money for the drug, it'll work even better. Are you with me still? And if the doctor is enthusiastic, it'll work even better. Are you with me still? So that pill then, when you give it to a person and they've been conditioned based on the past that pills have taken some symptoms away. You with me still? You take a pill, you look at it, you take it, you swallow it, 15 minutes later, your pain goes away. You look at the pill again, you take it, you swallow it, you notice it going away. And all of a sudden, you notice a change in your internal state. You pay attention to what caused it in your external environment, and you begin to become conditioned to that pill. You with me still? You keep doing that over and over again, and you give somebody a pill that looks just like that pill. And without even thinking about it, they take it, and based on their conditioning, they expect an outcome to take place. And placebo is based on conditioning, and conditioning is based on the past, and expectation, which is based on the future. Are you with me still? So then when you give that person that pill, and you tell them it's the best medication for this particular condition, that person uses that pill as a symbol of possibility, just like a symbol of possibility that you tuned into. Are you with me still? Yes. And the moment that person gets optimistic, gets inspired, gets expecting an outcome, feeling excited, they begin to marry a clear intention with an elevated emotion, and they are changing their state of being. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, think about this. Do you need a sugar pill or a saline injection to change your state of being? Have you been changing your state of being this particular weekend? Yes? By marrying a clear intention with an elevated emotion. Yes or no? So then, that pill then is representing a potential in the quantum field for that person. And when they begin to select that potential, it's not the pill that's doing it. It's that they are beginning to accept the effects of a future before it's made manifest emotionally. Yes or no? So then, they're beginning to make their own pharmacy of chemicals to match the exact chemical they think they're taking. Are you listening closely? So then 83% of people, 81% of people that are in a depression study respond just as well when they're taking the placebo as the people who are taking the actual medication. 81% of them are getting better by the placebo, equal to the people taking the medication. You with me still?
Yes.
So they do brain scans on these people before and after, and they see significant changes in the frontal lobe and certain areas of the brain to prove to them that they're better. And many of those people that were given the placebo insist that the doctors made a mistake, that they actually got the real substance. So then if their brain scans are changing, it must mean they're making their own pharmacy of antidepressants. Yes or no? If you give certain people in a dental study a placebo and you tell them it's one of the most powerful narcotics for pain, more than half of those people, after they have their molars pulled, have no swelling and no pain when they take that substance. But it's nothing more than sugar. You with me still? So then they take a specific drug that blocks morphine receptors in their brain. And the moment they take that drug, all of their pain comes back, which means they're making their own morphine by thought alone. Are you with me still? Turn the person next to you and have an enthusiastic conversation about placebos. Now, how many people are with me? Are you with me? Come on, poke the person next to you. Are you with me? So think about this. Because we are 1 foot in the real world, 1 foot in the quantum world. Those people that were in that depression study, listen closely, took that placebo for a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks. You with me? So every day they took that pill, and that pill represented a possibility in the future, and they became enthusiastic and inspired, and they changed their state of being by something outside of them. You with me still? And they did that for 6 to 8 weeks. It took them 6 to 8 weeks to finally heal their depression. So if it took them 6 to 8 weeks to finally change their state of being, do you think it may be a good idea to do your meditation for 6 to 8 weeks to change your state of being? Turn the person next to you and have a lighthearted conversation about that, please. They did this study where they took a group of people with Parkinson's disease. And Parkinson's disease is deficiency in dopamine in the brain. Remember that from yesterday? And when there's not enough dopamine in the brain, the upper motor neurons can't fire well together, and it produces involuntary tremors in the body. The body goes into like a spastic paralysis. You with me still? So they did this placebo study, and they conditioned these people and told them that they had a very powerful drug for Parkinson's, the best one they've ever created. And they made this big ritual, and then they gave them this injection, and more than 50% of the people had their tremors go away. Just go away. So the doctor said, well, that, of course, that's the placebo, which means we don't want to look at that. Mind and body are not related. And one researcher said, well, let's think about this. If all of their tremors went away completely, maybe they're making their own dopamine. Are you with me still? So they found this radioactive substance that fit into the same receptor sites as dopamine. You with me? So then what they were going to do is they were going to inject that radioactive dye into their bloodstream to see if they were making their own dopamine. If they were making their own dopamine, then dopamine got into the receptor sites before this radioactive chemical. So when they imaged the brain, you would see no radioactivity in there because dopamine got to the parking space first. Does that make sense? But if they weren't making their own dopamine, then the parking lot would be empty. And all this radioactive dye could move into the parking spaces and the brain would light up. You with me still? So when they did the study, they found that these people were producing over 200 times the amount of dopamine by thought alone. Are you listening closely? So then, there's a caveat to the story. Because those people, when they returned back into their lives, all of their symptoms came back. Why? Because it was their personal reality that was creating their personality. As they went to the same place and saw the same people and did the same exact things, it was their environment that was reminding them of who they were as their past, present personality. Are you with me still? In other words, when they saw the caregiver, when they played chess with their friends, when they saw their spouse, when they slept in the same bed, it was the environment that was controlling how they were thinking and feeling, and they returned back to the old self. Are you with me still? Now, I'm going out on a limb here, okay? So if the environment is so strong to cause those people to return back to the old state of being, and they forgot about the new state of being because the environment was that intoxicating, do you think it might be a good idea to do your meditation every day and to move into that state of being to be greater than your environment?
Yes.
Turn the person next to you and have a wonderful conversation about that. 2 last points. That the placebo is based on 3 things. Conditioning. Give the person a pill. Makes symptom go away, give them the same pill, makes the symptom go away, give them the same pill, makes the symptom go away, give them a pill that looks like that, looks just like the pill that they've been taking, and their symptoms goes away because they're conditioned into believing that. Yes or no? So conditioning is based on the past, but conditioning is a strong element. Expectation is beginning to select the future. But if there's no intervention that's changing their line of time, you listen closely, then they'll stay in that very specific line of time and they'll head towards that genetic destiny because they're in that state of being. Yes? So they're anticipating nothing to change until maybe they're given a placebo or there's some intervention, and then they start making changes. You with me still? So then the placebo then represents a new expectation, a new outcome, a new possibility. Yes or no? The third thing is when you assign meaning to something, which means like if the doctor says, well, this drug is going to leave serotonin in the synaptic space and it's going to block the enzyme that picks up serotonin, and depression is because of serotonin. He puts together this whole model that probably isn't even the truth, but it sounds good. And you're going like this. Then when you take that pill, you'll be thinking about that, what it's going to do, and it's going to become more effective. Are you with me still? So think about what we've been doing all weekend, this weekend. Have we not been reconditioning your body to a new mind?
Yes.
Have we not been selecting a new unexpected future that's different than your typical line of time? Yes. So we're bumping you off a timeline, yes or no? And would you agree then, I'm explaining everything to you in a very scientific way that you can repeat so you can assign meaning to what you're doing.
Yes.
So you are your own placebo, yes or no?
Yes.
But I want to warn you, point number 2, that you only accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts that are equal to your emotional state, and you will not accept, believe, and surrender to any thoughts that are not equal to your emotional state. Are you listening closely? So then, this is such a pandemic way that people are treated in the healthcare industry in this Western world, in our country. The person's giving a diagnosis of cancer, of diabetes, of rheumatoid arthritis. The moment they hear those words, what emotion do they feel? Fear and pain and sadness, yes or no? And that moment they remember, yes? Because it's new information and it wakes them up. And now they got to pay attention to what's telling them that. Now, anything that happens past that point, they're suggestible to equal to the fear or the sadness that they're experiencing. You got 6 months to live. You got 3 months to live. You got 9 months to live. You got a year to live. It's never 4 months or 8 months. It's always 3, 6, 9, 12. So there goes the voodoo curse. That's it. And if that person accepts, believes, and surrenders to that information without analyzing it because it's equal to their emotional state, they're programming their autonomic nervous system into a destiny. Are you with me still? If you read my book, The Placebo, I start off on a story about a guy that was diagnosed with cancer, given a certain amount of time to live. He just wanted to make it past the holidays. He just wanted to live to see his kids celebrate Christmas. A week later, he dies. They do the autopsy on him. He doesn't even have enough cancer. There's a little small speck of cancer. He died by thought alone. He anticipated the outcome. Are you with me still? Isn't that crazy? And guess what? If 50% of every person that's on their way to their first chemotherapy treatment gets nauseous on the drive over in anticipation of it occurring, I tell our staff at the clinic, if 50% of those people get nauseous on the drive to their first chemotherapy treatment, 50% of our patients can get well on their drive to our office in anticipating getting treated really well. Any difference? So then, what happens after that diagnosis begins to lay the foundation of what the person has to work against. Are you with me still? And they can think positively all they want. They can tell me they're going to beat it, but if they're not changing their body state, that thought is going to stop right at the brainstem, and it's never going to go any further. Are you with me still? And I have seen this in our clinic. I mean, we treat in our clinic crazy, wild, busy, super nutty clinic, and we work with a lot of chronic conditions because nobody wants to deal with chronic. Chronic means you got to create a lifestyle change. And so we do a lot of chronic work with people, and we get them chemically balanced, emotionally balanced, and we get them physically balanced. That's what we do. And if we get 2 out of those 3 in order, the third one always comes around. It's the way it is. So I'm in covering for the doctors. They're on vacation. I'm working pretty hard that day. And I come walking in the room, and there's this lady, Barbara, that I've treated for probably more than 17 years. I hadn't seen her. She's a potter. She throws pots, and she's an artist and photographer, and she's really talented. And I walk in, and she is sobbing in the room. And I say, Barbara, what is wrong? And she said, I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Listen to this. The doctor told me I didn't have much time to live. Yeah, I'm telling you the God's honest truth. He told me I'd never be able to throw pots again. She was swollen in her knees, swollen in her hands. I mean, she was inflamed. She was upset. And I looked at her and I said, Barbara, just because you've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis doesn't mean you have to have any of the symptoms. And it bounced right off her. What? Because she was on a different program, yes or no? I said, Barbara, just because you've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis doesn't necessarily mean you have to have any of the symptoms. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, what's your diagnosis? Rheumatoid arthritis. Okay? You could have the rheumatoid factor in your blood and you don't have to have any of the symptoms. I don't get it. Okay, you stay right there. Don't you move. I want you to think about that. Then I go through the 6 treatment rooms. I come back around, and I walk in, and she stands up and says, just because I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis doesn't mean I have to have any of the symptoms? And I say, now we're ready to work. Now, you understand that she could not accept, believe, and surrender to any information that wasn't equal to what the doctor told her in that experience and the emotion that went along with it. That was her belief. Yes or no? Yes. But our students that heal themselves don't always accept, believe, and surrender to the information equal that's being told to them. Now, they honor the values, they honor their condition and diagnosis, but they don't honor the outcome normal people typically go through. You understand that? Because they're not going to accept, believe, and surrender to that. They're going to accept, believe, and surrender to something else and change their future. Are you with me still? So I want you to know that Barbara, we got her 15 minutes a day sustaining elevated emotions like gratitude and sustaining it. and we did a few things to eliminate certain foods. And I was back in the office, a little ways back, covering for the doctors again, and here comes her husband walking in. And I said, how's Barbara? He said, she's taking flying lessons today. So then, when you change that emotional state, and you're in a state of gratitude, for no reason at all, but that you can create it, because you're committed to it. You're in a state of inspiration, invincibility, empowerment, unlimitedness. Then you'll accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to that emotional state, and you'll program your autonomic nervous system into a different destiny. Are you with me still? I know this to be the truth because I've watched it in too many advanced workshops. And I ask people to take the ride with me. Cross the river. Leave all of that baggage on the other side. There's a whole new future, and you got to believe in it more than your past. And that belief should be the belief that you endorse every day. Are you with me still? So then, to become conscious of the unconscious belief starts the process in and of itself. Yes? Now that you understand what the belief is, you got to make a decision with such firm intention that the amplitude of that decision carries a level of energy that produces an emotion, which the quotient of that emotion is higher than any past external experience that created the belief. The choice that you make inside of you is greater than the experience that took place outside of you that created that belief. And when the inner experience becomes the event, then you'll never forget your choice. And in that moment, you just moved from living in your past present reality to living in your future present reality. Because when the thought becomes the experience, or the choice becomes the experience, and you are moved out of your resting state, and you are moved by the Spirit, and the hair on the back of your neck stands up, that experience is rewiring the circuits in your brain. Isn't that what experience does? And it's reconditioning the body to a new mind in that moment. You are signaling new genes in new ways, and you are moving your body from a past present reality to a future present reality. And the choice becomes an experience that you never forget because it made it to your body. Are you with me still? Turn the person next to you and explain that. Let's run through some slides now, all right? We lower the lights. You with me? You guys all right? I didn't drink any coffee at lunch. I'm just excited. Didn't you love that kid? Didn't you love when he switched off from being the karate master to being a kid again? Because we're the same way, you know that. We're all just playing it. All right. The top prescription is for your arthritis, but it may cause a heart attack. The second prescription should prevent your heart attack, but it could cause damage to your liver. The third should prevent liver trouble, but it may destroy your spleen. The fourth protects your spleen, but it's known to eat away at your prostate. And the fifth, you know how that goes. I am so insulted by pharmaceutical commercials, personally. So knowledge is the precursor to experience. Have you heard me say that? It's the harbinger of the event. The more prepared you are for the experience, the more knowledge you should have. Yes or no? Yes. The end product of an experience is called an emotion, yes? Yes. If you understand how you created the experience, that's called wisdom. And now you can evolve, yes or no? Yes. And you will add to your own life by doing that. Now, if you get caught in the same experience that produces the same emotion, or you're committed to re-experiencing the same emotion without the experience in your outer world, then you keep signaling the same gene in the same way. And the gene is going to wear out, just like gears in a car, like taking a fax of a fax of a fax of a fax of a fax. You're going to start making cheaper proteins. You're going to down-regulate genes. Are you with me still? Poke the person next to you. So your thoughts and feelings come from your past, yes or no? From past experiences or memories, yes? If you take a series of thoughts and feelings, thoughts and feelings, thoughts and feelings, you put them together, you develop what's called an attitude, yes? An attitude is just a shortened state of being. If you take an attitude, an attitude, an attitude, and you string an attitude, an attitude, an attitude together, you're going to form what's called a belief, yes? And belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again until you hardwire it in your brain. And belief is connected to some emotion, and you tend to think within the boundaries of that chemical state. And you form a belief about yourself and your life. You with me still? You put a belief, and you keep believing more and more of the same things, and they all of a sudden start to merge together. Now you're going to have a perception. Perceptions have everything to do with the choices you make, the things you create, the relationships you have, and of course the behaviors that you demonstrate. So thoughts and feelings create attitudes, attitudes create beliefs, and beliefs create perceptions. You still with me? So, your reality is created by your beliefs and perceptions, and if they're unconscious, then you can understand why your reality turns out the way it does. Are you with me still? And those beliefs and perceptions come from your thoughts and feelings, yes or no? So then, to change your perceptions, your beliefs, and attitudes means you have to change the way you think and the way you feel. And the way you think and the way you feel is called your state of being. Have you heard that enough this weekend? Yes or no? So you combine a thought and a feeling that's different, you're going to change your state of being. Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so hang in there with me now. So what are the beliefs and perceptions about yourself and your life that you have been unconsciously agreeing to every single day? Why don't we list some of them to put them under the microscope? How's that sound? I never have enough time. That used to be my belief. I didn't think it. I didn't feel it. It was just my state of being. And of course, if you asked me why I thought there was never enough time, I would give you 1,000 reasons based on my past. Yes or no? And I was right. Now my belief is I live in no time and I accomplish everything. And I'm such a nicer person to be around. Yes? You understand that I didn't think it and I didn't feel it. It was just my state of being. I was thinking and feeling merged. I was feeling, I was thinking. It was just one thing. You understand? It was my state of being. Life is difficult and no one cares. This is a subconscious, unconscious belief for many people. They don't even know that they think that. Until, of course, when life gets difficult and no one cares, they say, I knew it. I have to work hard to be a success. Belief. Someone has to make me happy. Oh my God. You know, everybody thinks they're not that way, and 6 months goes by and you're like, whoa, where did you come from? Because now all of a sudden that person's belief comes out. Yes? My race or culture is superior. Get over yourself. When I own this, then I'll be happy. How about when I'm happy, I'll own this? I'm a shy person, please. Whoa, don't get me started on this one. Germs make me sick. You think that you've been programmed into that? So many people, they get sick without the germs. God is outside of me. This is a subconscious belief. People will tell you, oh no, God's within me, dude. Really? Well, let's sit down and make contact. If you sit down and you're over it in 10 minutes, then you don't believe it exists. Because if you knew it existed, you would go after it. And belief is like pregnancy. Either you are or you're not. I'm bad and God doesn't love me. Subconscious belief. If you change this belief, imagine how free you would be. It's not in this intelligence nature to judge. It is just intelligent love and loving intelligence. That's it. Reality is a linear process. Change this one up and your life is going to get really weird. Women are less than men? Please. You know, if you take a group of women and you tell them before you give them a math test, men score better at math than women, they'll score less. But if you give them the math test and you don't tell them that, they'll score equal or better. Because it is a subconscious belief. Because if they didn't believe it, they'd say, that's not in my world. So then we get primed all the time by our beliefs. And it's all around us. It's hard to change or create reality. Belief. Life is very serious. Belief. My pain is normal. It'll never go away. You ever talk to those people? That's a belief based on their past experiences. And they're right, because that's their state of being. Things never go my way. Do you know these people that have this belief? They're just waiting for something. They're actually almost making it not go the right way so they can tell you that things never go their way. And they're going to get really mad and abusive. I'm a lot like my parents. My mother had this health condition. My father acted this way. That's just who I am. Genes don't do that. You do that. I'm just not a lucky person. Belief. Nothing good ever happens to me. How about the universe is a friendly place? I'm not smart or creative. Do you think there's any coincidence that when we start every learning session, I ask you to turn the person next to you and tell them that you're a genius? Because sooner or later, you're going to start believing that. You with me still? I believe everybody's a genius. I gain weight easy. Belief based on the past experience. Oh, woo! You need to hang out with me on this one. I'm going to dust you. I can't find a man, woman, or partner. Belief. My biological clock is ticking. Do you know how many people that were pronounced infertile in our work now have children because they changed that belief, because they changed their biology? And by the way, if you're living stressed out and over-vigilant and contracted and fearful and protective, it's not a time to grow a baby. You're in survival. The survival gene is on. It's not a time innately for long-term building projects. There's danger out there. Why would you want to risk that? That's the innate gene that signals. You get a person out of those addictive emotions and they're blooming like a flower. I'm short-tempered. Get over it. Oh my God, beauty looks like this. Who wants to look like an emaciated, anorexic, undernourished, battered, skinny woman on the cover of some magazine? Don't you know that they do that to keep you consuming because they know you'll never look like that? And that's how we're programmed into thinking beauty looks. You know, my daughter, when she was this big, I would drop right down on my knee and I'd get right up to her nose. And I'd say to her, Janna, you are so beautiful. Do you feel beautiful? Then you are beautiful. Because the moment you feel beautiful, you are radiantly beautiful. How many people are with me? Where do these beliefs and perceptions come from? Say it. Say it. From your past experiences, yes or no? Well, here's a very good question. See that truth meter? I got one of them right here. And if you hang out with me and we're having a glass of wine and you try that, spiritual mumbo jumbo stuff with me, you're going to get that. Now, are those beliefs true or did you make them up? You made them up based on your past experience. But would you agree then? You can begin to continue to believe more and more things as you move closer and closer to oneness, to the unified field on your journey back home. You can keep evolving your beliefs. You should, yes? So then, here's my question. Do you want to continue believing and perceiving the same way? All right, take out a piece of paper. And I want you to write down one belief in its limited form. Like, I never have enough time. Like, I'll never get the right job. My pain will never go away. I really am not a good meditator. Wine gives me a headache. You come on our wine tours, you dust that belief by the second day. We're over that one. I'm not a lucid dreamer. I don't dream. Belief based on past experiences. Come on, pick something fun then. Or if you keep seeing the same pattern in your life, are you listening? The same thing occurring over and over again, there's a belief about that. and it's subconscious and unconscious. And all you have to do is know what it is and then change your state of being, and you will begin to be greater than the hardwired programs and the emotional addictions, and your body will begin to respond to a new mind, and you'll begin to embody that belief. So pick something in its limited form and write it down. You got it written down? How we doing? Now, underneath that statement or next to it, however you want to do it, I want you to write down the belief in its unlimited form. Like, I live in no time and I accomplish everything. I'm a lucid dreamer. I could dream lucidly. I'm open to reality not being linear. I want to believe that. Hang on when that happens. It gets really weird. Could be about a job. Could be about an opportunity. I love synchronicities. This is part of my belief that they happen all around me all the time, and they happen all around me all the time. But that's what I like. I want to believe that. How about I never have enough time to meditate? This sweet little lady from Vancouver, BC, grandmother, probably in her 80s. Doctor told her she had arthritis and that she was going to lose function in her hands because her joints were swollen, and she was upset because she couldn't tighten the ball jars for canning in her marmalade, her jam jars. One meditation in a progressive workshop, she changes her state of being, and all the pain in her hand goes away, and she's opening and closing her jam jars. Think she's a happy person? Just change the belief. She didn't know. You ask her how it happened, she'll say, I don't know how it happened. I just changed the belief. I don't know how it happened, like the science behind it. I just know that I just changed that belief. I was so happy to hear that about her. I mean, that's a cool grandma, wouldn't you agree? Imagine what she would say to her grandkids. Change your belief about that. Get on the toilet. All right, now, let me tell you how this meditation is going to go. We're going to play 2 songs to pull the mind out of the body. You with me? You did good. We got a little bit more practice to do, all right? First song, I work with you. You work with me. I'll coach you through it. Come on, stay with me. Second one, you're on your own. You find your own rhythm. You find your own cadence. You with me? Stay with me. Come on. Then, we're going to rest our attention in different parts of the body and the space around the body. Remember why? Coherence, yes? Just keep opening your focus, and more nerve cells are going to begin to join the orchestra. You with me still? Then, you're going to unfold as nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time. You got it? Now, then, when you're at that point where you're in that perfect state, I'm going to say to you, what was that belief or perception about yourself in your life that you wanted to change? And all I want you to do is remember the belief. Are you with me? And then I'm going to say to you, do you want to continue to believe and perceive in this way? If not, it's time to make a decision with such firm intention that the amplitude of that decision causes your body to respond to your mind. The choice that you make in this moment becomes the experience that you never forget. Let this moment define you. And you better be like Gandalf on the bridge. You may not pass again. You with me still? So you got to come out of your resting state, yes? Then I'm going to say to you, what do you want to believe and perceive about yourself and your life, and how will it feel? Are you with me still? And now I'm going to say to you, come on, move into a new state of being. And then I'm going to say to you, I want you to make a choice with such firm decision that the amplitude of this choice is greater than the hardwired programs in your brain and the emotional conditioning in your body. Come on, let your body respond to your mind. Are you with me still? And the hair on the back of your neck better stand up, and you better become more energy than matter. And then I'm going to say to you, come on, from this state of being, to create an unlimited belief is to feel unlimited. To empower a new belief is to become empowered. And I want you to raise your energy. Are you with me still? Just take a chance. And when you start feeling changes inside of you, you're going to pay more attention to the thought that caused it. And you're going to begin to emboss that information in your brain. Are you with me still? And all I'm going to do is say, come on, radiate that belief around you. And I just want you to become aware of that energy around you while you're holding that belief in your mind. That's all I want you to do. And all you're saying to the observer is, take a look at that. This is what I'm putting in the mirror. You with me still? And then you're going to linger there for a period of time. And then I'm going to say, now embody this belief. How will you breathe in this belief? How will you stand in this belief? How will you walk? What will be your posture in this belief? Come on, feel it in your body. And I want you to wear it. I want you to feel it. Bring it in there, because it's got to make it into the body. Are you with me still? So I'm going to ask you to embody that belief. You got it? And then I'm going to say to you, now surrender your belief to a greater mind, planting a seed in the infinite field of possibilities. And then I'm going to say to you, whatever you experience in the realm beyond space and time and emotionally embrace must manifest in space and time. It's the law. And then you'll bless your body and your life, your past and your future. You'll bless your soul, and then ask the divine to step into your life. Are you with me still? We'll finish in a state of gratitude, and then we'll break. So remember, I said that we were going to finish this event with the final meditation called the Blessing of the Energy Centers. And it is the most popular meditation of our advanced community. They love doing it. And when we do our advanced workshops, we start every morning blessing the energy centers at 6 in the morning. That's our game. That's just what we do. Brain waves are right, and we're going to start that day with getting the temple straightened out. Are you with me? Yes. So then, all of the work that you've been doing, those of you who've been doing my meditation, and resting your attention in the space that your nose occupies in space, and sensing the space that your nose is in space. Don't you know that's been training? Because you're mastering two types of focus. Convergent focus, narrowing your focus on matter, and divergent focus, opening your focus to information and energy. You with me still? Now, I was raised in a very ethnic family, and ethnic stereotypes from that particular part of the world, I'm talking about my own culture, of course, when they want you to pay attention, they say, tie your shoe, watch the car, don't break your leg, you know. They yell at you, and of course that emergency focus causes you to narrow your focus, right? And then we just learned that's the way we focus, right? Problem is you get stuck like that, you can't open your focus, your brain gets stuck like that. You with me still? Yeah. So we know that the hormones of stress narrow our focus, and I'm teaching you to open your focus to do the opposite. Are you with me still? Yeah. So all the training you've been doing in resting your attention in different parts of your body and the space around your body is becoming aware of those two types of focuses, a convergent and a divergent focus. Are you with me still? Turn the person next to you and explain that. Would you agree, though? Based on just a brief exposure in one weekend to the information that you're getting, that when you take your attention off of objects, off of matter, off of people, off of things, off of places, off of dimension, 3-dimension, and you begin to sense nothing in energy and information, as you open your focus, different compartments of the brain that were once subdivided because of the hormones of stress say the tormentor's gone. He's not thinking, she's not analyzing, they're out of the way. And different compartments of the brain begin to unify, they begin to synchronize, they become more coherent. Remember? Come on. Yes. So that's what you've been doing all along, yes? Yes. So then you created coherence in your brain by doing that, yes or no? Yes. So then each one of these energy centers are centers of information. They have their own energy, their own frequency, and all frequency carries information. They have their own intent, another way to say it. Are you with me still? Their own consciousness. They have their own glands, their own hormones, their own chemicals, and their own individual little brains. Inferior mesenteric plexus, superior mesenteric plexus, solar plexus or celiac plexus, heart plexus, thyroid plexus, pineal gland, pituitary. Are you with me still? Yes. So now, first 3 centers we've acknowledged have everything to do with survival. Yes or no? Yes. And of course, there's nothing wrong with these first 3 centers. We use them. That's the animal part of us. And when you are over-consuming, when you are over-stressful, when you're over-addicted, when you're over-sexual, when you keep releasing energy out, you're drawing from this invisible field of life force, this vital energy, and you're turning it into chemistry. Are you with me still? So you're being chased by a lion, you better draw from this vital field and turn it into chemistry, because you got to move your body through space, and you better take a very short amount of time to do it. Yes or no? Yes. So the intelligence of the body says, let's tap all the resources, because it's more important to survive than to hold back on any of the resources. Short term, that's really great. Yes or no? Yes. Long term, though, all of a sudden now you don't have any energy to heal. You don't have any vital life force. The field around your body literally diminishes because you keep tapping that vital field. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, as you understand that each one of these individual plexuses of neurons are their own individual brain, then you would have to agree with me, then they have their own mind. Hello? Yes. Your first center has its own mind, gentlemen. Your second center has its own mind. You trust your gut sometimes, yes? Yes. When you use your will to do something, you're using your third center. Are you with me still? When you are giving and nurturing and care and kindful and present, you're activating your fourth center. It has its own mind, yes? If you're speaking or expressing your truth or expressing love, you're activating this center. Are you with me still? Yes. So now, would you agree then that you have a tremendous amount of creative energy in your first center? Yes or no? And then when you release that out chemically, and it begins to connect with another person's egg or seed or whatever, however that works, you're creating another offspring, and it's your energy that you're giving in the form of genes, exchanging information. Yes or no? Yes. And it takes a lot of energy to grow a child, yeah? So then you don't have to always release that energy out. That creative energy, listen to this, when you feel safe in your environment, in the social structures, in the food, all the elements of survival are in place, the energy naturally moves to the second center. Are you with me still? So you create social structures, families, support, you create tribes, you create trust and bonds with people, and you're safe. And that second center is working really well. If things all of a sudden are perceived as unsafe, that there's threat in some environment, or there's some obstacle, some challenge you have to overcome, you better start moving energy to your third center. It's that same energy, just moving up. Are you with me still? Now you're going to use your will to begin to overcome the conditions in your body. And your third center gets your body up and going. Are you with me still? The idea of just standing up or getting out of bed takes an act of will. Are you with me still? And that's your third center. And that's why when your adrenals are fatigued or you're stressed out or blown out, you can't get up. You're done. You just tap the reserve. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, but if you do face the conditions in your life and you do overcome them, the energy moves right into the fourth center and you feel more whole. You're more in love with yourself. You're more in love with life. You're more patient with other people. You're more kind. You're more giving. You're more caring because you're out of survival. You've overcome your environment, your body and time. Are you with me still? And you feel more whole, and you're more creative, and you're more poised, and you're more spontaneous. And then when you begin to feel that love, you got to express it because you feel it. Now you got to express it. That's what we do. So the energy moves to the fifth center, and you speak your greatest understanding about life. You understand it's not the end, it's just your greatest truth at that time. Are you with me still? And then when you speak that out, the energy moves right into the pineal gland, and the pineal gland releases its metabolites. It begins to activate and awaken dormant areas of the brain, and you begin to perceive reality through a different window. Are you with me still? You begin to activate dormant areas of the brain, and you have a greater spectrum of that less than 1% of reality that we experience. Are you with me still? And if that energy continues right up to the seventh center, all of a sudden, that seventh center creates a tremendous amount of harmony all the way back down in the other direction. Harmony within and harmony in all areas of your life. And that's how we evolve. Yes or no? Yes. So then you can understand the antithesis of this now too. Energy should be moving past the second center, and the person has a trauma and they feel unsafe. They're betrayed and they're not trusting any longer, and that energy stays stuck right in the center. Are you with me still? And it's guilt or it's pain or it's suffering, it's grief, whatever. It's locked down in there. You with me still? And if it moves through the second center and it gets stuck in the third center, then of course the person's tied up in their ego. They're tied up in the way they look. They're tied up in what people think about them. They're tied up controlling everything in their life. They can't let go. They can't trust. So the energy stays stuck in the third center, and they're controlling and manipulating, and it's tyrannical. Are you with me still? Yes. But if that energy continues to move, it continues to move up. Does that make sense? Yes. So now, are you with me still? Yes. Your model pretty good? Yes. Come on. So if you're drawing from this invisible field of energy over and over again and turning it into chemistry in one of these three centers, sooner or later you're going to run out of energy here, yes? And so then all energy carries information, carries consciousness. So now you have no energy moving through neurological tissue. You have no information, no consciousness moving through neurological tissue, which means you have a limited mind in that area. Are you with me still? And when you tap out the vital force and there's no longer any energy to move through that brain, those individual brains, guess what? Those individual brains begin to function incoherently, just like your big brain. And it sends an incoherent message to the cells and tissues and organs in the body. And now all of those organs, cells, and tissues are getting very, very limited information. It's like static on the wire. And the body's no longer getting the proper life force through the nervous system. How many people are with me? Turn the person next to you and try that one on a little bit. Your mother's going to ask you what you did this weekend. You better be able to tell her. So now, think about this. If you were to rest your attention in the space that your perineum occupies in space, you would be placing your energy and your attention in that area. Convergent focus, yes or no? Yes. So then you would be acknowledging the particle in quantum physics, yes? But reality is a particle and a wave. It's both. It's a wavicle. It's a combination, yes? So then when you become aware of the space around your hips, beyond this center, you're opening your focus, just like you did here, yes or no? So then, is it possible then that when you open your focus and you put your attention on energy and information, you're building a field because that's where your attention is? And you're tuning in to information related to this center. Are you with me still? And this center can draw from a new field of coherent information that causes that individual brain to become more coherent and send a coherent message to the uterus, to the lower back, to the prostate, to the bladder, to the cells and tissues in that area. Are you with me still? Yes. So then, we bless each one of these energy centers in a state of love. They're your cells. They're working for you. And when you bless them in love, it's a faster frequency than guilt. And so, of course, it's going to entrain and create order in those tissues. Are you with me still? And what if you were to rest your attention in the space behind your navel in space? Have you done that? So you have a neurological network then, yes? And what if you were to rest your attention in the space and become aware of the space around the center, and to bless this center for the greatest good, loving it into life with a new coherent energy that the cells and atoms and tissues would draw from to create a coherent signature to all the organs in this area. Are you with me still? And what if you were to rest your attention in the pit of your gut, the third center, and became aware of the space around the center, particle wave, to bless this center for the greatest good, that it draw from a new field of coherent light and information, causes your body to respond to a new mind. And you know what? We only spend a few minutes on each one. And the reason that I've held back in teaching this until people have practiced, because if they can't change their brain waves, they're not getting into the autonomic nervous system, and it's not going to work. Are you with me still? And I watched all of you in that last meditation, and I bet you, I'd bet that 95% of you were in alpha or theta. You were gone. You were elsewhere. And so I taught it for people to rest their attention in the space their body occupies, in the space around, so they can develop that type of focus. And if they can't rest their attention there and they're all over the place, it's not going to work. So we have to train, yes? And the good news is you never have to do that other way ever again. Now you can bless your energy centers, and it takes a shorter amount of time. You with me still? It's only spending a few minutes to climb Jacob's ladder. So then you rest your attention in the space in the center of your chest in space. Have you done that a few times? So you have a neurological network then, so you can rest your attention there. It should be easy. And you can be present with it and become aware of the space around this center, beyond your body in space. And could you tune in to a new frequency that this center can draw from a new field of coherent energy and information? And all you have to do is just tune into that energy and bless it for the greatest good, loving it into life. And then you rest your attention in the space in the center of your throat in space. Have you done that? And you become aware of the space around it. You tune into that energy. It's a faster frequency than this one. This one's a faster frequency than this one. This one's a faster frequency than this one. It's a faster frequency as you go up. Are you with me still? And what if you were to rest your attention in space between the back of your throat and the back of your brain in space? The pineal gland. What if you were to anchor your attention in that space and become aware of the space beyond your head in space? Have you done that? And what if you blessed this center, that the alchemist in you awaken, that the doors of dimension open to you, that you see the hidden meaning behind all things, that the veil of this illusion be lifted, that your dreams be lucid? If that is your intent, would you agree then? That energy is carrying your intention, that information, and that energy should organize chemistry and matter to a new mind. And you should begin to make some pretty profound neurometabolites that's going to fit into the same receptor sites as serotonin and melatonin, but it's going to carry a very, very different message. Are you with me still?
Yes.
Because energy is the epiphenomenon of matter. Are you with me still?
Yes.
What if you were to rest your attention in the space in the center of your head in space, in the big black space? Have you done that?
Yes.
So you have a neurological network to do that. And if you were to become aware of the space beyond your head, around your head in space, would you be able to bless this center for the greatest good? That this center draw from a new field of light and information. If you could become aware of that light and information and allow it to receive in you. Would that begin to get a new message to the pituitary gland, which would influence the pineal gland, which would influence the thyroid, which influence the thymus and the heart, which would influence your adrenals and all the way down? So then what if you were to rest your attention in the space about 16 inches above your head? The Egyptians called it the Ka. This is an energy field. And what if you were to bless this center after you become aware of it in a state of gratitude? Why gratitude? Gratitude is the ultimate state of... What if you blessed this center, that information from the cosmos be downloaded into your nervous system, that latent genes be activated in you? Is it possible? You saw that second energy field, it's coming the other way, and that's that energy from the cosmos coming right through the door. And so many students have had the experience. And they say every single cell of their body, every cell was touched with a vibration, with light. It's the only way they can describe it. You're getting upgraded. You're getting a little cosmic upgrade, huh? So then, what if you were to become aware of the space around your body in space? Have you done that? So then, if you place your attention on the space around your body in space, this teardrop, this egg, then the longer you place your attention on the space around your body, and the longer you become aware of it, and the longer you're present with it, where you place your attention is where you place your... So you're building a field of light and information, yes or no? So then this here is you. This is not you. This is what you're wearing. This is the puppet master here. This is you. And so how much, we're going to talk about this at the advanced workshop, how much of your waking day are you aware of energy, and how much of your waking day is your attention on a particle? So then if your attention isn't on possibility, you shouldn't have much possibility happening in your life, because you're a materialist, focusing just on the particle. So you begin to become aware of this field around your body. And what if you were to bless this field, that the atoms, molecules, the chemicals, the cells, the tissues and organs and systems of your body would be drawing from a new field of light and information? Is it possible then, instead of your body breaking down over time because it's more matter and less energy, you know what I'm talking about, the second law of thermodynamics, things get into disorder or entropy in the universe? If you're more energy than matter, then you should experience syntropy instead of entropy, orderliness or reverse entropy, and because you're more energy than matter. How many people are with me? And people have healed themselves in this work from bladder cancer, prostate cancer, chronic bladder infections, impotence, diverticulitis, acid reflux, food allergies, projectile vomiting, heart palpitations, arrhythmias, asthmas, throat cancer, brain tumors. We've seen it all. And all they had to do was rest their attention in each one of these centers and program their autonomic nervous system. Now, did you hear me say visualize anything? Hear me say to do anything. All you have to do is rest your attention there, space around, and tune in. That's it. And all of a sudden, your autonomic nervous system says, hey, just get out of the way. Stay over there. Let me do this. I'm a much better healer than you are. Just stay out of the way. Let me take over. Are you with me still? Yeah. So turn the person next to you and tell them how you're going to bless your energy centers. Remember this? Here's an atom. Here's an atom. Here's the nucleus of the atom. There's a cloud of possibility, and all that wave is carrying information. It's a frequency. So when the energy lines up and they begin to bond, they're exchanging vital information. Are you with me still? The moment these two atoms come together and they bond and they're sharing information, the energy that's holding these two atoms together to form a molecule is basically creating different physical characteristics than when they existed separately. They have a different weight, a different boiling point, all these different physical structures, because now it's a different molecule. Are you with me still? Are you with me? So then if I add another one over here, then you would have to agree if they exchange more information, this molecule changes again. But what's holding this molecule together is the energy and the information. You with me still? So if I add another one over here, you could see we keep changing the physical properties because they're exchanging energy and information. Yes or no? If I keep doing that, I'm going to form a chemical, yes? And there's going to be an invisible field of light and information around that chemical, and they're sharing information, all those individual atoms. And it changes the physical characteristics, the behavior of the chemical. You with me still? Get enough chemicals going together, I can form a cell, yes? And the cell has an invisible field of light and information around it. And there's a whole new science called information biology that's coming out that's basically saying, we lied. I mean, cells don't function by charged molecules, and that's how they work. That the cell is drawing from an invisible field of light and information. And the latest research shows that the more coherent the light around the cell, they measure it, the healthier the cell. The less light around the cell, or the incoherent message around the cell's not communicating inside the cell very well, and it's not communicating with other cells very well. And the research shows that the communication that happens within the cell and between cells is faster than the speed of light. So it's a quantum phenomenon. It's exchanging information beyond the speed of light. Are you with me still? So then you take that life force, that light away from the cell, and the cell dies. There's no information to feed it, no energy. Does that make sense? So then if you take a group of cells and you put them together and they're all from the same family, you form a tissue. Yes or no? And that tissue has an invisible field of light and information that it's drawing from, that's causing the individual cells to behave as a team. You with me still? Take that tissue and you fold it over, you create an organ. And that organ has an invisible field of light and information, and that light and information is the memory of that organ. Are you listening closely? That's why after the first heart transplant, the person who got that new heart craved McDonald's. That's because the donor loved McDonald's. Are you with me still? And how about the woman who got the heart transplant and got the heart from someone who was raped and murdered? I'm writing about this in my book. And the moment they got the new heart, all of a sudden, the person had a consistent same nightmare, the same nightmare that she was being murdered. She went to a forensic artist. They drew a person's face, and the person turned himself in. The memory is in the field, isn't it not?
Yes.
So, don't look at me like that. I'm just repeating what I learned. So, you take one organ out of one person, you put it in another person, you're going to begin to contribute to the person's light field, and it's got to be mixed up with your own light field, yes? So then if you take all those organs and put them together, you form a system. Digestive system, reproductive system, immune system, cardiovascular system, and that system is drawing from an individual field of light and information that's keeping it in unison, working together, in coherence, yes? You take all of those systems and you put it together, you form a body, and the body has an invisible field of light and information. Are you with me still? So then as you're tapping the vital resources around your body, because most of your attention and energy is on the first three centers, and that's where all your thoughts are, then you would have to agree that not only you're conditioning the body to become the mind, but you're continuously tapping from this field. And now you're just a piece of matter trying to change matter in your life. Are you with me still? So as you bless each one of these energy centers, you're acknowledging these centers of energy and information. And you are hooking up to the field. Are you with me still? And then when you become aware of the space around your body in space, then you're acknowledging the true self. And if you can build a field of energy because you can become aware of it and stay present with it and experience it and notice it moment after moment, you're building your own light field. And the cells, the tissues, the organs, the systems of the body that are made of atoms and molecules and chemicals are going to be drawing from new instructions. And it would make sense that the body should respond to a new mind. Are you with me still? And our students have healed themselves of all kinds of things. There's people in this audience that have done it. And they only have to spend a few minutes on each center. How many people understand? So now, we were in Paris, and I'm getting ready to go backstage, and this kid runs up and hands me this envelope. And I get him a lot, and I went backstage, I opened the envelope up, and this young guy is a IT person working in Israel. And his exact words, I got him up on the stage to tell the story because I read his story, it was so amazing, is that he had the phone in his hand and he was screaming at the top of his lungs at a client. Stress or no stress? And his whole ambition was to become wealthy, but this is how he was going about doing it. You understand? Which is, we all get lost. And he was screaming at the top of his lungs, and all of a sudden he heard this pop in his head. And from that point forward, he had the worst headache you could ever imagine. He said that he could barely even concentrate, he couldn't think. But here's the problem. That when he got around, now remember he's an IT guy, anything electronic, his cell phone, his computer, his printer, Wi-Fi, anything, the pain, he said, was 1,000 times worse. Now, he didn't know anything about this, but this is what he experienced, right? So he went to the doctors, and doctors told him what? Yes, there's no such thing, you're depressed. Right? And so now he couldn't work. So he goes from a very early onset successful person to losing everything, going bankrupt, losing his job, losing his home, losing his cars. He lost everything because he couldn't work. He couldn't even be near it. He said all he did was curl up in a ball in his mother and father's house, and pray that something would change. Are you with me still? Then the stress of the pain started creating a very profound pain syndrome in his body. He had all kinds of chronic pain and immune system problems, and he was taking 42 supplements a day, and nothing was changing it. So he winds up getting You Are the Placebo. He reads the book, and he starts doing the placebo meditations, and he starts noticing some change, but nothing really big. So then he gets the blessing of the energy centers, and he starts doing the blessing of the energy centers, and he's climbing up this ladder, and he gets to his 6th center, and he said it was like a light show in his brain. He's an IT guy, never meditated before. His whole brain lit up, and that energy came right out of the top of his head. And for 10 minutes after that meditation, after many, many years, he had no pain at all. So he proved to himself that he could take it away. So guess what he did? He did it again. And he did it again. It went from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes to 40 minutes, and he kept doing it. And every time he did it, the period of relief got greater, until he was able to experience hardly any pain in his waking state. Then he did something really brilliant. He took a cell phone and he sat it in front of him, and he went into meditation. And he was changing his internal state independent of his external environment by blessing his energy centers over and over again. You with me still? And he mastered that. Had nothing else to do. Then after he mastered that, he rented a space in an office building with all the computers and all the technology, all the Wi-Fi signals, and he showed up there with his blindfolds and his little beats, his little music things. He put them on, and for 5 hours every day he would do blessing of the energy centers, until finally he was able to sit in the presence of technology and have no pain at all. And he just made his way through this condition. Are you with me still? Here's the cool part about it. He stands up in front of the audience in Paris and he said, you know the weird thing? Now I work like an hour a day and I'm making 10 times the amount of money that I was ever making. It was just trajectory, just changed him on a different course. You understand? That's how powerful the blessing of the energy centers can be. So now, let's do it. And all you're going to do, there's going to be some music, and when the music starts, there'll be about 20 seconds or 30 seconds or so for you to center yourself. You with me? Look at me. There's no breathing. You should be going like this. There you go. And then you'll hear a chime. And then I'm going to ask you, can you rest your attention in the space that your perineum occupies in space? And as you rest your awareness in this center, in your body, in space? Can you become aware of the space around this center, beyond your hips in space? Are you with me still? Yes. And then I'm just going to ask you to bless the center for the greatest good, loving it into life. Love is a faster frequency, and it'll entrain a slower frequency. Are you with me still? Yes. So then you'll hear a chime after just a few minutes, and you'll move to the second one, to the space behind your navel, slightly below it and behind your navel. As you rest your attention in the space, you become aware of the space around it. I'll instruct you on how to do that. Then I'll ask you to bless the center for the greatest good, loving it into life. And all I want you to do is tune in to information, become aware of it, and allow the center to draw from a new field of coherent energy and information. Are you with me still? Then we'll climb the ladder to the third center. You'll rest your attention in the pit of your gut. You'll become aware of the space around that center. I'll ask you then to bless it for the greatest good. We'll move to the fourth center, and I'm going to start talking to you. I'm going to ask you to rest your attention in the center, the space around it, and then I'm going to ask you to bless this center, that your heart bloom like a great flower, that your soul speak to you in infinite ways, that wholeness be a constant in your life, that you feel love deeply, that you trust in the unknown. And all I want you to do is feel, become aware of it. And then we'll move to the fifth center. And I'll instruct you to rest your attention in that space and the space around it, and then I'll talk to you again. That your words become law, that you express love through the center, that the sound of your voice raises matter to a new mind, that when you call on spirit, it responds. Are you with me still? And then we'll move to the space between the back of your throat and the back of your head, the pineal gland. Our students can hang out there in their mind. They can rest their attention there. They've done it enough times. They know exactly where it is. They can locate it. They have a neurological network for it. And then you'll become aware of the space around it. I'll ask you to bless it, and then I'm going to start talking to you. That you bless it, that the alchemist in you awaken, that the doors of dimension open to you, that you see the hidden meaning behind all things, that the veil of this illusion be lifted, that your dreams be lucid. And if that is your intent, while you pay attention to that energy beyond your head, that energy is going to slow down in frequency and affect the chemistry of this gland. Are you with me still? Come on. Yes. And then I'm going to ask you to rest your attention in this big black space in the center of your head in space. And I'm going to ask you to become aware of the space around it, and I'm going to ask you to bless this center for the greatest good, and I'm going to talk to you. We'll go to the eighth center, become aware of this space in the infinite black space, and then I'm going to ask you to bless it in the state of gratitude, falling in love with life, worthy to receive. And all I want you to do is open up to information. Don't expect anything, just open up. Are you with me still? Then I'm going to ask you to become aware of the space around your body in space, the true self. And all I'm going to do is ask you to bless that field and radiate your energy into the field. And raise the frequency of your body. That the atoms, the molecules, the cells, the tissues, the organs, the systems of information can be drawing from a new field of energy. Are you with me still? And then we'll be done. How does that sound? Can you give me your best? Yes. All right, here we go.